I start by building Chase. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451. Face is the most important issue. The next mayor of the lighthouse is Lin Chen. The question is, will he do it? Charles' words not only overestimated the position of the lighthouse, but also belittled Lin Chen's status. Lin Chen said, "Alice, cripple his legs for me." Yes. Alice appeared with a dagger in her hand. In an instant, the dagger turned into a cold light, like a meteor piercing the sky and the earth. Then, Charles, who was lying on the ground, let out a shrill howl. Oh. The legs are gone. This is more tormenting and painful than taking life directly. Charles' face has lost its color, and beads of sweat are pouring down like rain. The severe pain makes him live a life worse than death. He keeps howling shrilly. "Kill me, kill me." It seems that this can divert the pain. Almost everyone in the lighthouse can hear his voice. And everyone in the lighthouse held their breath again, and they didn't even have the courage to look up at Lin Chen. They never thought that there would be someone so cruel that he would directly cut off the legs of the light and shadow leader. Charles screamed for a long time, and finally lay on the ground and passed out. Although there were still many people at the scene, it was completely silent. Lin Chen looked at Dr. Carey and said loudly, "Dr. Carey, we will stay in this world for a certain period of time. I hope you can make a decision before I leave this planet." Many people were stunned. How could the matter be related to Dr. Carey? However, Lin Chen ignored the thoughts of everyone present. There was not much time left. A landing ship appeared near the lighthouse. In the end, Lin Chen, Alice and many Mechas disappeared from everyone's sight. This time they left completely. After Lin Chen left for a long time, the lighthouse restored its former order again. Finally left. Where did those people come from? Are there still living humans on the ground? It's still scary. I held my breath just now and almost suffocated myself to death. People kept talking about what had just happened. After all, it can be said that what just happened was something that never happened in the lighthouse. But many people still have a lot of doubts in their hearts. What exactly did Dr. Carey hide? After talking for a long time, except for a few members of the Light and Shadow Church who carried away their leader Charles, who was about to die of excessive blood loss, many people subconsciously looked at Dr. Carey. Dr. Carey immediately took Jingnan back to the Ecological Research Institute. If everyone knew that there was an opportunity to leave this world, the lighthouse might die from the inside, and she would also be threatened. After returning to the Ecological Research Institute, Jingnan immediately asked, "Dr. Carey, what do you think?" "Actually, I plan to leave this world and go to the blue planet where I can live on the ground, not this cage-like lighthouse." It is impossible to say that Dr. Carey is not tempted. Especially since the conflict between the two sides just happened, Dr. Carey almost wanted to immediately agree to Lin Chen to go to the blue planet. The reason why she didn't agree immediately was completely out of her inner hesitation and confusion about the new world. So she had to wait for a while and consider who she wanted to take away from this world. First of all, the assistant team is indispensable. Because Lin Chen is attracted by her own value. As for others, maybe Jingnan is not bad. Jingnan enviously said, "I really envy you, Dr. Carey. I'm not like me who can only operate the control lighthouse and nothing else." Dr. Carey patted Jingnan on the shoulder and whispered, "Don't worry, I won't go alone. I'll take you with me, and my assistant team." "Really? Are you going to take me away from this world?" "SHH, keep your voice down." While Drive, Carey and Jingnan were talking, Lin Chen also successfully returned to the Star Destroyer in space. Now that the whereabouts of the super energy substance have been found, there is a high probability that it is the mana flower. Then we can prepare for the next thing and contact the large forces of the Azure Star. The reason why Lin Chen can conclude that the mana flower is a super energy substance is mainly because of the analysis of the data from the lighthouse. First of all, there are a lot of super energy components in the air of this planet, but there has been no progress in the investigation of super energy substances. The lighthouse is different. It is a local force of Ling Long Star and knows this planet well. Although the lighthouse has not collected much information about the mana flower of the lighthouse, even if the elimination method is used, it should be locked that the mana flower is a super energy substance. Lin Chen said, "Send a message." Jiangxi nodded, and soon sent a signal that only the Azure Star could understand according to the instructions of the Red Queen. Now is an extraordinary period. Super energy substances can no longer be owned by only the Wangxian Empire. Now the Azure Star has to face a non-human civilization in an entire star region. All super energy substances must be available to the Azure Star and even the affiliated forces of the Azure Star. Because when all mankind faces difficulties and challenges, as a community of shared destiny, human beings should abandon prejudice and unite to forge ahead on the road of development. The message soon spread to the Azure Star and spread throughout the Azure Star. The news about the Linglong Star was revealed, and the message was accompanied by information about various Linglong stars. What? A planet with super energy substances was found? Quickly recall the fleet. Our spacecraft is still hovering near the Azure Star, let them rush over. Immediately, many forces on the Azure Star immediately recalled their fleets to the Linglong Star, and at the same time did not forget the two affiliated planets that chose to help when facing difficulties on the Azure Star. In a very short time, the fleet sailing in the depths of the starry sky immediately changed its course. They headed towards Linglong Star from all directions. However, only the Jianmeng Empire had one more mission than other forces. Pussy was quite happy to receive the news about Linglong Star, thinking that in the future, with super energy materials, by then, relying on the industrial strength of the Jianmeng Empire, trade alliances, non-human civilizations, those would not be a problem. But the news also claimed that there was a lighthouse on Linglong Star. Who dared to call it a lighthouse? Did they get the permission of the Jianmeng Empire? For this reason, many high-level officials of the entire Jianmeng Empire were very unhappy. At the meeting, Pussy almost slammed the table and shouted, "Fuck, that pirated lighthouse clearly doesn't take the Jianmeng Empire seriously." Many high-level officials agreed. That's right. Lighthouse has always been the beautiful name of the Jianmeng Empire. Before being bullied by the trade union, it was fine, but now anyone dares to bully our Jianmeng Empire. We must let them know what a real lighthouse is. Everyone was filled with righteous indignation and shared a common hatred of the enemy. It was as if the issue they cared about most was not the super energy material at all, but the issue of face was the top priority. Because everyone knows that the Jianmeng Empire has always been known as the lighthouse. So angry. How dare someone pretend to be the great Jianmeng Empire? That pirated lighthouse is clearly courting death. This revenge must be avenged. For the sake of the Jianmeng Empire's face, even if the super energy material is no longer needed, the pirated lighthouse on Linglong Star must be killed first. Chapter 452. At present, for the Jianmeng Empire, they must make the lighthouse pay a heavy price for their blind self-confidence. Otherwise, how will the Jianmeng Empire maintain its reputation in the future? Time is running out, and a signal is sent to the Jianmeng fleet sailing to Linglong Star. When General Bit saw the content of the message, he immediately said that he would beat the pirated lighthouse on Linglong Star into a dog. As time went by, when the fleet from humans was heading to Linglong Star, both the Star Destroyer where Lin Chen was and the lighthouse had the progress of the incident. In the lighthouse, people have become panicked recently. Because the image of the light and shadow cult has not only plummeted in the lighthouse, but its leader Charles has also had his legs amputated. At the same time, the city lord of the lighthouse has also reached the point of exhaustion. Now there is a lack of medical supplies. As long as there are medical supplies, Charles and the city lord Morgan of the lighthouse can be saved. But even if medical supplies are found, it is only a matter of time before the lighthouse goes to destruction. And Lin Chen's previous time in the lighthouse just accelerated the time of this destruction. However, at this time when everyone was in a panic, Mark, the captain of the Wasteland Hunter team, once again showed his saintly nature and prepared to lead people to the ground to find medical supplies. After various preparations, the Wasteland Hunter team made a final check in this rainy night. A team member asked, "Captain, are we really going?" Mark said, "Of course, if we can't find the medical supplies, the life of the city lord Morgan will be exhausted." Someone else said, "It would be great if we can find that person, maybe he has a way." They thought of Lin Chen. They knew very little about Lin Chen. They only knew that Mark rescued him from the ground, but they didn't know anything else, but this did not prevent them from making various guesses. After all, being able to have 100 flying gravity bodies in the end times does not look like an ordinary person. Mark seemed to be lost in memories, and then said, "Okay, no matter whether the person has the ability to save the city lord, we have no ability to find him. Have you checked your equipment?" "Checked. We are going to the ecologically dense area, I hope everyone can be prepared." "Yes." Everyone agreed. At this time, Jinan suddenly appeared. Now she has half a foot to leave this planet, so she doesn't care about the life and death of the lighthouse. Based on the good relationship with Mark in the past, she intends to stop Mark from going to the ground to die in vain. Captain Mark, are you really going to go? If I don't go, the lighthouse will be destroyed. Mark rejected Jingnan's kindness with a serious face, and then said, "Okay, turn on the lifting function." Jingnan knew that he couldn't persuade Mark, so he didn't say anything else and had to do what the other party said. The lifting function is turned on. At this moment, they have appeared above the dense area of gods. After a while, a modified car carrying a member of the wasteland hunting team landed from a low altitude. As soon as they landed on the ground, they encountered a large-scale attack by the devouring beast. After a life-and-death fight, they finally got rid of the attack of the devouring beast, and found a dilapidated large pharmaceutical company in the vast rainy night. Before entering, Mark did not forget to say, "Everyone, don't relax, stay highly alert." Boom boom, a flash of lightning fell from the sky, causing a brief brightness in the rainy night, but it also made this long dilapidated pharmaceutical company even more terrifying. The door of the pharmaceutical company is connected to the dark world, and at this moment, everyone has a bleak future. Even so, the Wasteland Hunter team still carried lighting equipment and entered this long dilapidated company. Although this is a pharmaceutical company, its danger level is more dangerous than encountering an extreme beast. Time is running out. The Wasteland Hunter team discovered the weirdness of this pharmaceutical company, and then began to encounter a series of extremely dangerous escape journeys inside. However, at this time, landing ships appeared from the sky one after another and came to the sky above this pharmaceutical company. Lin Chen walked down from the landing ship and was shocked to find that he met the white-haired beauty Bai Yukui again on the roof of this pharmaceutical company. "Why are you here again?" At this moment, Bai Yukui was still looking up at the landing ships above his head, with a trance, and it was unknown what he was thinking. Lin Chen asked again, and Bai Yukui turned back and said that Mark dared to come here without knowing whether to live or die. "I'm going to help him." "You mean the garbage collection team is in the building under my feet?" "That's the message I received. The Waste Hunter team has entered this dilapidated pharmaceutical company." At this time, a marine came down from the landing ship with an instrument and said, "It's here, there is energy fluctuation." The instrument showed that the air near this place contains the most concentrated super-energy substances. Lin Chen said, "It seems to be the mana flower." Bai Yukui was stunned and said, "You came here for the mana flower?" Lin Chen said, "This is the purpose of coming to this planet. It is a disaster for you, but it is indeed an additional energy consumable for us." The marine asked, "Do you want to go down now?" Lin Chen said, "No hurry, someone is exploring the way for us." Although Lin Chen thought that his advanced equipment could crush everything, he was still afraid of unknown dangers and that the Marines would encounter unexpected events in unfamiliar situations. Therefore, only when he knew the truth would it be the best time to go to the Menafire. Through the conversation, the members of Bai Yukui's team have deeply felt the strength of Lin Chen and others. They came to obtain the mana flower with full confidence. What kind of tyrannical existence can have such strength? Boom boom, the dilapidated pharmaceutical company building trembled slightly, as if violent energy was generated inside, and the sound of guns could be vaguely heard. Lin Chen said, "It seems that there is really an unknown danger." Suddenly, the battle inside caused a huge hole in the roof. It seems that the battle below is not small. Lin Chen's eyes looked down along the broken hole and took in everything that happened below. There was a large space at the intersection of the lines of sight. In one of the gravity bodies, a battle was fought with a larger beast. In the battle, the gravity body flew up from below to avoid the attack of the beast. The driver of this gravity body was Mark, who knew Lin Chen. The gravity body of the lighthouse does not belong to the category of mecha, but should belong to the ranks of power combat suits, so it is not enough to support long-term flight. Mark's gravity body just flew to the roof to avoid the attack of the extreme beast below, and then he took a quick glance and saw a scene that he would never forget. Chapter 453, Mana Flower. He saw someone on the roof. When the lightning and thunder illuminated the sky of the earth, Mark found that there were people he knew among these people. "It's him." Mark was stunned. He noticed Lin Chen. The suspected body was not simple. There were many gravity bodies that he had never seen before standing behind it, and there were many spaceships in the sky. Before he could think too much, the gravity body where Mark was could no longer support the flight and fell instead. But Mark was shocked by the scene just now. Then as soon as he landed, Mark started a fierce battle with the devouring beast again. At this moment, on the roof above Mark, Lin Chen and others had seen everything that happened. A marine asked, "Do we want to help?" As long as Lin Chen gave an order, they would use sufficient firepower to beat the huge devouring beast into a sieve. Lin Chen said, "Don't worry, wait a minute." Time was running out, and the battle below became more and more obvious. Mark faced the huge devouring beast alone, and gradually began to be unable to cope with it, and even reached a situation where he was exhausted. If he didn't take action again, it was very likely that Mark would die. Seeing this, the Bayou team could no longer remain indifferent. Just as they were preparing to act, Lin Chen said, "Go down." Yes. Immediately afterwards, the 20 Marines behind him jumped down one after another. Although the power combat suits cannot fly, at this altitude, the jet system on the back can allow them to land safely. Dong dong, the 20 Marines arrived safely on the ground. Then they immediately took out the C-14 penetrating electromagnetic rifle mounted on their backs. This weapon has a tearing effect and can penetrate 2-inch steel plates. It is naturally no problem to deal with a mere devouring beast. Fire! 2, 2, 2. One by one, the thorn bullets swept towards the devouring beast. It is almost difficult to calculate how much killing power the 20 Marines have, but they can easily knock down 20 main battle tanks. Almost as soon as they opened fire, the devouring beast lost its combat effectiveness. After a while, before Mark could react, he saw that the devouring beast that he had fought with before had been beaten into a pool of mud. Mark. "Oh, I fought so hard for a long time, but it was not as fast as the other party who came with a gun." The crisis on the ground was resolved. Lin Chen led a large force to the ground, but for some reason, Bayou-Kui's team did not come down. Of course, Lin Chen would not think about why. When he arrived on the ground, Lin Chen glanced at Mark in the gravity body, and then said to a squadron of 200 Marines, "Move." Mark immediately opened the mask of the gravity body and said, "Hey, friends, don't go in. It's dangerous inside. Several of my people have met with accidents inside." Lin Chen saw that it was Mark again, and he immediately smiled and said, "It turned out to be you." Mark didn't know how to answer. Lin Chen asked again, "Do you think we are afraid of a mere devouring beast?" Mark was silent. Yes. He had fought hard for a long time to fight the devouring beast without any way, but as soon as the other party came down, he directly shot the devouring beast to death. Lin Chen and others wanted to continue moving forward inside this dilapidated pharmaceutical company. Mark looked at Lin Chen and the others who were almost gone, gritted his teeth, and his maternal attributes burst out again. He immediately contacted the Wasteland Hunter team and said, "You will wait for me in a safe place." The Wasteland Hunter team's puzzled voice came from the communicator. "Captain Mark? I'll be out in a while." Then, Mark finally chased after them. He was afraid that Lin Chen and the others would encounter some accidents. In fact, Mark's worries were completely unnecessary. Lin Chen looked at Mark, who appeared from behind in surprise, and asked, "What are you doing here?" Mark said, "No matter who you are, it's very dangerous here, so I have to follow." Lin Chen smiled. "Dangerous? That's just based on the premise that his own strength is not strong. You have to know that his group is not just about the Marine Corps. Both landing ships and mecha troops can provide support in the air, and even the Star Destroyers in space are not vegetarians." However, Lin Chen did not mock Mark's maternal character, and the group walked in openly. But soon, Lin Chen and the others suddenly stopped. Lin Chen was surprised and asked, "Why are there mummies here?" There were many mummies lying in front of him. If you don't look carefully, they are clearly lifelike clay sculptures. Mark explained, "That's flesh soil. Meat soil. It's living people who have lost their life source and turned into flesh-like soil. They were the same as my Wasteland Hunter team before. We fought side by side before we came." Mark's face showed frustration. In this regard, everyone present looked at Mark quietly. They all understood the feeling of losing comrades, and they had experienced it personally, because they had lost too many comrades. After a while, everyone continued to move forward. Finally, in the depths of the dilapidated pharmaceutical company, they found the super energy substance mana flower. Lin Chen said, "Is that the mana flower?" Mark nodded and said, "Although I don't know why you are looking for the mana flower, that is, the mana flower is a dangerous species." A plant that looked like an ancient tree appeared in front of everyone. The most attractive thing was its crown-shaped flowers that looked like fruits. That must be the mana flower. In everyone's sight, the mana flower grows on the tree, and it is not a traditional flower shape, but a pin crown-shaped sphere with a diameter of nearly 2 meters, and there are stems like tentacles floating in the air. Looking at this extremely weird mana flower, Lin Chen couldn't think of any danger. What's the danger? Because when a person is in a weak state, the mana flower will absorb the person's life essence. Lin Chen didn't do much research on the life essence, but guessed that it should be the energy of the human body's life functions. But then again, how the mana flower absorbs is another question. You have to know that the current Marine Corps is wearing a power combat suit that can move in a space environment. It's impossible that the mana flower can still absorb the life essence of a person through the power combat suit without air as a medium for transmission. That would be too ridiculous. At the back, a Marine looked at the detection equipment and said, it should be about the same. The super energy substance here is very rich. Lin Chen asked, do you think it's dangerous to pick the mana flower? Mark shook his head and said, I don't know much about the mana flower. Unfortunately, no useful information was obtained. Lin Chen thought about it. Use a gun to shoot down the mana flower, and then use a stick to pull it over little by little. This is the safest way at present. In short, the soldiers can't die in vain. Lin Chen immediately notified the landing ship still in the sky to drop some sealed boxes to preserve the mana flower. There was not much time left, and a Marine volunteered to take the sealed box and slowly stepped forward, ready to use a gun to shoot down the mana flower first. All alert. The Marines immediately pointed their guns at the trees growing mana flowers. If there was any accident, they would immediately beat the tree into a pile of sawdust. Chapter 454 Unless a miracle happens. With a bang, a Marine's gunmanship was superb, and he knocked down a crown-shaped mana flower with a diameter of about 2 meters. Lin Chen. Question mark everyone. Question mark. It was so easy, there was no danger at all. However, they did not relax at all, because danger often appears when they are most relaxed, but even so, danger still appeared. A Marine exclaimed, fuck, the soil under the tree is alive. There was a lot of soil under the tree where the mana flower grew, but since a mana fire was shot down, the solid soil immediately turned into liquid soil. The liquid soil seemed to be awakened and was quickly coming towards Lin Chen and others. Mark also exclaimed, it's Shiren, everyone hurry up. Shiren. Mark hurriedly explained, I don't know how Shiren is formed, but once this thing covers a person, that person is really finished. It's more terrible than corrosion. It was quite scary to say this, and everyone immediately retreated outside. During the retreat, Lin Chen thought more and more that something was wrong. Why should he run? So he hurriedly asked, is there any way to destroy it? Mark said in annoyance, Shiren is afraid of high temperature. Generally, a flamethrower will do. It's just that I didn't bring it with me this time because we were in a hurry. He never thought that Lin Chen and others could do anything. Although these people's weapons are very powerful, high-temperature weapons are special weapons, and almost no one will carry them. But Mark knows nothing about the real power. For Lin Chen, as long as there is a way, it will be fine. After Mark said that there is a solution, everyone stopped. Seeing this scene, Mark hurriedly shouted, hurry up, just leave a certain range, otherwise once the Shiren covers people, no matter what it is, it will be melted. He became more and more anxious. Why do these people still want to die? Lin Chen turned on the communicator and said, landing ship, I will mark the location immediately and fire a plasma cannon at the location. The plasma cannon has an ultra-high temperature effect, which is definitely the nemesis of Shiren. Soon, one traction device after another was shot at the Shiren that was rushing towards Lin Chen and others. The landing ship hovering in the sky immediately launched a series of plasma beams with controllable power. Chirp, the dimensionality reduction attack from the advanced civilization is so simple. After a while, the Shiren that had turned into liquid turned into real soil, loose soil, after the plasma beam swept through the place. Mark was immediately shocked. Lin Chen and others no longer paid attention to Mark and began to collect mana fire. After the crisis of Shiren, many things became easier. Not only was there no danger, but it was also quite smooth to pick and seal mana flowers. It seems that the diameter of mana fire is about 2 meters, but it is actually not too heavy. The progress of sealing is very easy. After a while, all the mana flowers here were taken away. Lin Chen even thought about taking away the trees that grew mana fire, but considering that such trees might trigger the state of Azure Star, he gave up. Lin Chen said, okay, the mission is over, let's go. This time, the harvest totaled 20 mana flowers. Through testing, the super energy contained in the mana flower is very strong and can be squeezed for a long time. Mark was surprised and said, "Leave?" Lin Chen said, "The purpose of our coming here is for this. Now that we have obtained it, of course we have to leave. If this place is not underground and the landing ship cannot enter, Lin Chen and others may have entered the landing ship now. Unlike now, we have to go out." Lin Chen and his group walked outside. During this time, Lin Chen glanced at Mark and said, "Mark, thank you. This time we can get the mana flower without any loss. It's all thanks to you. Gratitude is gratitude, and resentment is resentment." Lin Chen has no grudge against Mark. On the contrary, it is thanks to Mark that he got the mana flower this time. Otherwise, it is very likely that a soldier would die here on this trip. Mark glanced at the marines behind Lin Chen, and paid more attention to them moving the boxes that sealed the mana flower. After a long pause, he said, "What's the use of getting the mana flower?" Lin Chen said, "It's needed for development, equivalent to a consumable like fuel." Soon, everyone was about to leave the dilapidated pharmaceutical company, but there were bursts of gunfire outside. Mark heard it and said anxiously, "Friend, we have something else to do, let's say goodbye." "Well, I wish you good luck to the garbage collection team." Mark off without bothering to explain anything, he immediately rushed outside. The gunfire here must be that the Waste Hunter team outside is fighting with the devouring beast, and he must rush over to reinforce as soon as possible. Lin Chen and others did not follow. They came to the place where Mark had fought with the devouring beast before. One landing ship after another broke through the roof and took Lin Chen and others away. But when they just flew to this dilapidated pharmaceutical company, the landing ship first saw a large number of creatures nearby, which were rapidly approaching with this place as the center. Combined with the dense gunfire that just came, it is not difficult to guess that all the devouring beasts are heading for Mark's Wasteland Hunter team. Lin Chen thought for a moment and ordered all landing ships not to take off yet, notifying each ship to observe the situation of the Wasteland Hunter team first. If the Wasteland Hunter team encounters troubles that cannot be solved, relying on the weapons of the landing ships, the Wasteland Hunter team can be given a chance to evacuate safely, just as Mark's previous help in obtaining the mana fire. Soon, 5 landing ships flew to the door of the pharmaceutical company following the sound. Looking down from above, you can see that the Wasteland Hunter team on the ground is fighting with the devouring beasts. However, it seems that the Wasteland Hunter team is in an unfavorable situation. They are like a small boat in the sea, and they are still experiencing a storm. As long as they are not careful, something unexpected will happen. Lin Chen saw the current situation of the Wasteland Hunter team and felt the situation of the Wasteland Hunter team. At this moment, the situation of the Wasteland Hunter team is actually more serious than Lin Chen thought. Facing the endless stream of devouring beasts, the Wasteland Hunters had no heavy weapons, only light weapons, and the weapons and ammunition they carried were not many. It can be said that it was a critical moment. In this rainy night, the rushing rain did not eliminate the sound of the Wasteland Hunters shooting. Almost every once in a while, someone would be sucked of the life essence by the devouring beasts and turned into flesh and soil. Da-da-da-2, the gunshots continued, but the devouring beasts were also approaching. However, the only good news was that the Wasteland Hunters successfully survived until Mark returned in time, but they had missed the best opportunity to escape. As soon as Mark appeared, he immediately saved 2 members of the Wasteland Hunters like a protagonist. "What's the situation now?" a team member said. "Captain, it's no good. There are too many devouring beasts. I can't see the end at a glance. The ammunition is almost gone. What should we do?" Another team member said. "Captain Mark, we have lost the best opportunity to retreat." Mark frowned. It seemed that it was all his fault. If I hadn't been so kind to help those people, the Wasteland Hunters might have already evacuated the ecologically dense area. What should I do now? This has almost become a problem that troubles Mark. Right now, even if I lead the entire Wasteland Hunters team to break out, they will definitely not be able to break out, because there are too many extreme devouring beasts. The members of the Wasteland Hunters team looked at Mark and asked anxiously, "Captain, what should we do?" Mark said solemnly, "I'm sorry, everyone, I have no ability to deal with this situation. There are too many extreme devouring beasts. None of us can get out, unless a miracle happens." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 455. Damn, again. A miracle. How could such an illusory miracle happen? Everyone was in despair. At this moment, let alone a miracle, there would be no support at all, because they were facing an endless stream of extreme beasts that could not be seen at a glance. It seems that God wants to kill me. It's hateful. I haven't been to the morning hall yet. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't want to die yet. Woo, I shouldn't have come to participate in this mission that I shouldn't have. Now it's good, we may not be able to return to the lighthouse. A breath of despair was spreading. Some members of the Wasteland Hunter team had even given up resistance. It's not that they didn't have the courage to fight, but that no matter how hard they fought, they couldn't change the outcome. Mark frowned and said self-blamingly, "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have brought everyone to die." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Chen, who had been observing in the sky for a long time, ordered the landing ship to attack the extreme beasts on the ground to save the garbage collection team. Landing ships are small landing ships belonging to space battleships. Their weapons are naturally not comparable to those of giant space battleships. However, the weapons they carry are definitely enough to deal with extreme beasts. Chirp chirp, the plasma cannon began to exert its power. One after another, plasma beams were sent to the ground and began to sweep across the ground, killing countless extreme beasts immediately. Once the 5 landing ships provided support, they immediately created a very open area for the Wasteland Hunters on the ground. Seeing this sudden scene, someone from the Wasteland Hunters team exclaimed, "There is really a miracle." Then everyone subconsciously looked up and saw several spaceships. The hope of survival has come. It's a spaceship. Ha ha, we're saved. People kept cheering. The morale of the Wasteland Hunters team increased greatly. Mark said, "It's them." Soon they quickly evacuated the ecologically dense area along a channel opened by the landing ship for the Wasteland Hunters. In the end, Lin Chen stopped supporting the Wasteland Hunters when he saw that the Wasteland Hunters were safe. After running all the way, the Wasteland Hunter team finally returned to the lighthouse without any danger when the sky cleared. The members of the Wasteland Hunter team breathed a sigh of relief. This time they went to the ecologically dense area to search for medicine. Although it was a life and death struggle, it was the result that everyone wanted in the end, and they successfully brought the medicine back. With these medicines, the condition of City Lord Morgan can be cured. The medicines brought back by the Wasteland Hunter team were immediately used to treat City Lord Morgan's condition. After a period of treatment, City Lord Morgan and the Light and Shadow sect leader Charles were also pulled back from the gates of hell. This time, the hidden unrest factors of the lighthouse disappeared again. After City Lord Morgan recovered from a serious illness, the lighthouse had a controller, so the lighthouse came back to life. But, is it really like this? Is the lighthouse really alive? Impossible, because there is a greater crisis coming to the lighthouse. It is a man-made disaster that is more terrible than a natural disaster. During the treatment of the Lighthouse City Lord, with Ling Longstar as the center, fleets from all directions from the depths of the starry sky are converging here. As time went by, fleets and spaceships appeared one after another. 2 fleets from the Wang's Empire came. The Polar Fleet came. Well-known fleets came one after another. These fleets did not enter Ling Longstar directly, but stayed in the orbit of Ling Longstar and looked at the manifier obtained by Lin Chen. Yes, it is indeed a super-energy substance. How can this look like a flower? It's clearly a ball. Mana ball, it's called mana ball. A group of people talked and laughed. After all, everyone is now an ally of the same human camp. Before the non-human civilization is completely eliminated, they will tacitly put aside their grievances and become partners who can trust each other. Even if they want to fight internally, it will be after the non-human civilization is eliminated, because no matter how they fight, it is also the humans' own business. Someone was surprised. Why hasn't the Jianmeng fleet come yet? At present, the fleets of the Wang's Empire and the Jianmeng Empire are the largest, but now that everyone has arrived, why is the Jianmeng Empire fleet missing? Could it be that it got lost in the starry sky? After a long time, the fleets here also learned from Lin Chen about the characteristics of the mana flower. It is nothing more than a liquid soil that is afraid of high temperatures. This is not threatening at all. Just be careful when picking it. As for the extreme beasts on the ground of Ling Longstar, are they dangerous? Those vicious creatures are not taken seriously by the fleets of all parties. They have energy weapons, space battleships, and they are all experienced in battles. It would be unacceptable if they were beaten into dogs by the extreme beasts. In the joint fleet led by the Sun Never Set Alliance, Commander Ryan's eyes lit up and he thought of a wonderful idea. This Ling Long Star is clearly giving the 12 gold cents a chance to perform. Although the 12 gold cents were defeated in the face of the endless Arachi insects on the insect star, it was just an accident. But this time is different. There are 36 gold saints, so they will definitely be able to avenge their previous shame. As long as these gold cents reach the ground, can't they easily chase and beat the extreme beasts like dogs? Commander Ryan of the British Sun Alliance immediately became active, as if he had seen the surprised scenes of many fleets. The desire to show off was stronger than ever. In this case, contact all the fleets and let them watch a show from the gold entrance for free. As soon as the video conference was opened, it showed that many commanders in the meeting were extremely lively, talking about interesting things in the starry sky. Let me tell you, before coming here, my fleet conquered a planet with non-human civilization. The creatures on that planet are hermaphrodites, and they all rely on mating with themselves to reproduce. Everyone immediately became interested and completely forgot that this video conference was held. How do you mate? Tell us about it. There are 2 tentacles of different shapes. Everyone will understand it later. We don't understand. This scene is like a lively vegetable market. Everyone completely ignored Commander Ryan, the initiator of the meeting, and looked at Nicotine, the commander of the Polar Fleet, with curiosity. Commander Ryan. Endure it. He tried his best to suppress his anger and laughed dryly. Everyone, please listen to me, but it was useless. The people in the video conference still gathered with Nicotine, listening to him with great interest about the race that mates with itself. Commander Ryan was furious. These people clearly didn't take him seriously. So angry. Enough, are you done yet? The video conference fell silent, and many people immediately asked in surprise, "Hey, Ryan, when did you come?" "Hello, Ryan." Ryan's face was extremely ugly, but in order to show off, he couldn't bear to lose his temper. He tried his best to suppress his anger and smiled forcefully. "Everyone, I suggest that you stay in space for a while. I will send the gold entrance of the British Sun Alliance to perform for everyone to boost the morale of the soldiers." Immediately, everyone was shocked. Damn, again? Chapter 456. Don't panic, not at all. Everyone couldn't help but think of the usual nature of the Sun Never Setting Alliance. They really did everything to show off. It seemed that showing off had become a culture of the Sun Never Setting Alliance. They didn't care about any losses, as long as they could show off. Thinking of the experience of the Gold Sun's ruthless failure on the insect star, and the fact that the Sun Never Setting Alliance always boasted, but was always beaten by the cruel reality in the end. This time, the Sun Tribal Alliance seemed to have forgotten the pain after the wound healed, and was still boasting. Suddenly, there was a bad feeling. Many people immediately felt that it was better to stay away from the Sun Never Setting Alliance, and never follow them to give away their heads. Without any discussion, everyone said at the same time, "We don't need it." Commander Ryan of the Sun Tribal Alliance. Almost vomited blood in anger. "The Gold Saints are very powerful, okay? Don't you want to feel the power of the Gold Saints?" The Polar Fleet immediately stated its position and declared, "The Sun Never Setting Alliance should not disturb our operation to obtain the Mana Flower." The Wangzhen Fleet. The Starship Troopers. The Xinhua Star Fleet all agreed unanimously. At this moment, in the fleet of the Sun Never Set Alliance, Commander Ryan was furious and immediately summoned 3 groups of 12 Gold Saints. "I don't care what you did before, but just now many fleets look down on us, so you must show enough strength to make those who look down on you speechless." The information about Ling Long Star was handed to each Gold Saint. A total of 36 Gold Saints looked at the information of Ling Long Star. After a while, these Gold Saints' faces were filled with infinite confidence. It was nothing more than some ferocious extreme beasts, nothing to be afraid of. When the Gold Saints went to Ling Long Star, didn't they easily chase and beat those extreme beasts like dogs? The mysterious confidence of the Gold Saints is back. The next step will be their revenge action. They will use practical actions to prove to all fleets that the will of the Gold Saints is indestructible. Commander Ryan said loudly, "Do you have the confidence to avenge the previous defeat?" A total of 36 Gold Saints shouted confidently, "Yes." Commander Ryan said, "Very good, you will board a landing ship to Ling Long Star first." The Gold Saints headed for the landing ship with full confidence. Along the way, not only Commander Ryan was bragging, but the Gold Saints were also bragging. "I will use my fists to smash the extreme beast." "What extreme beast?" "It's just to give us points. Ha ha, from now on, no one will look down on us." One rollover is nothing. This time we will definitely win back the face we once lost. After a while, these confident gold synths entered the landing ship and headed for Ling Long Star. During the flight, everyone's enthusiasm did not decrease, and their faces were full of fighting spirit. After a long time, a landing ship carrying only gold synths successfully landed on Ling Long Star. Swish, the landing ship opened the hatch. 36 gold synths officially stepped onto the land of Ling Long Star in an extremely cool way. These synths did not take the dangerous beasts of this planet seriously. Because they are great gold saints, they will eventually become messengers of justice and eliminate all the evil beasts of this planet. In fact, the main purpose of doing this is to show it to the fleet staying in space. They want to prove to the world that the synths will protect the love and peace of the Earth. Indeed, everyone, including Lin Chen, is indeed paying attention to the synths of the Sun Never Sets Alliance. However, watching the 36 middle school students posing, they were speechless. Sure enough, it was really a show. Lin Chen said speechlessly, "I hope they can come up with a record that will impress everyone, otherwise it will be too sorry for these cool and compelling shapes." At this moment, on Ling Long Star, the gold synths from the Sun Never Sets Alliance are still posing cool and compelling shapes, ready to wait for the beasts to appear and kill them with gorgeous moves. However, after waiting for a long time, no devouring beast appeared. It was embarrassing. My legs were sore. A gold synth said angrily, "Damn it, I think the devouring beast clearly looked down on us." Others echoed, "Yes, in my opinion, we won't be able to put on the synth armor unless we turn this planet upside down. This is completely different from the situation in the information. According to the information, it should be not long after humans appear on the ground that the devouring beast will come to find the smell, or to find the sound, but everyone has been posing here for so long and still hasn't appeared. Isn't this looking down on people?" Later, the British Alliance landing ship had no choice but to use this method of "I am human, I am here to attract the devouring beast." Bang bang bang. In order to attract the devouring beast, the synths sent several flares to the sky one after another to attract the devouring beast. As soon as the flares were sent, many devouring beasts were attracted over. Time was running out, and a group of extreme devourers appeared. When they saw the living humans, they immediately became excited and rushed towards the synths at high speed. Boom boom, the earth was shaking, as if thousands of horses were galloping. The huge noise made the 36 synths also discover the incoming extreme devourers. They looked exactly like the images in the information, so they must be extreme devourers. Realizing that the creatures rushing in were extreme devourers, the gold synths were not panicked, not at all. Instead, they shouted with joy, "Come on." Each of them was full of confidence and full of confidence. They all agreed that those extreme devourers were clearly here to deliver food. Don't look at the extreme devourers running around happily now, they will be beaten and screaming later. After a while, the distance between the two sides was getting closer and closer. The 36 gold synths began to take action. Transformation. After a battleship in space sent out 36 dazzling golden lights, 36 synths in golden armor appeared on the spot as if they had won. It seemed that they were blessed by some kind of divine power, so that these gold synths had developed a mentality of being invincible. Confidence began to burst. Leo Gold Synth Aeolia was the oldest among the saints. Not only had he experienced the transatlantic armor competition, but he had also experienced the Battle of the Bug Star. However, those past experiences were not the glory of being a saint, but the shame of being a saint. But now it was different. The opportunity to avenge the previous shame had come. Leo Aeolia clenched his right fist, and a trace of energy turned into an arc flashing. He said with full style, "Even if I die, I will fight for justice." It was a pity that there were no spectators or cheers at the scene for such a cool and compelling appearance. The other gold synths also gathered together and showed a confident look, and they were full of confidence in the next battle. Soon, the devouring beast rushed over, and the 36 synths immediately responded. The two sides fought in a very short time. No matter what, the Synths' combat is the core technology of the British Alliance. It is almost impossible to turn into a little Superman when wearing armor, so it is natural to beat the devouring beast. Chapter 457. There is no word retrieved in the dictionary. In this battle area, golden light flashed from time to time. The 36 synths were clearly crushing the devouring beasts. This was an unfair battle. Leo Gold Synth Aeolia was so excited that he tore the last devouring beast in half with his hands. Time was running out. The devouring beasts at the scene had been slaughtered by the 36 gold saints. A gold synth said coldly, "Nothing special." They stood proudly between heaven and earth on this battlefield that had just ended, like gods descended to the world, with a cool and compelling shape, looking extremely heroic and extraordinary. Too fragile, there is not even a decent devouring beast. This was the innermost thought of a group of goldsons at the moment. What they wanted was a refreshing battle. They had no interest in such a one-sided slaughter, and it did not show the power of the goldsons at all. Complaining and grumbling, anyway, if they defeated the devouring beasts and did not pretend to be cruel, what was the difference between them and salted fish? However, at this time, they did not know that a more powerful devourer was coming here. It was a giant devourer that was over 80 meters in size, and there were many of them. Although the goldsons did not know, the fleets in space saw it clearly. Things seemed to be getting interesting. In the fleets in space, many people understood the usual style of the British Sun Alliance, and they were afraid that they would be beaten by the cruel reality. The giant devourer was not something the goldsons could deal with. That huge body could crush the 36 goldsons to death. The fleet of the British Sun Alliance immediately sent a retrieved order to the Gold Saints, claiming that a giant devourer was about to arrive. But this did not matter to the goldsons who had just won a great victory. A giant devourer? It's a good thing that it came. They were worried that there was no forbidden devourer to help them brush up their records. Ha! I'm going to tear the extreme beast apart with my bare hands. Why should we retreat? It's just an extreme beast. I can beat 3 of them with one hand. The power of the goldsons has not yet been truly demonstrated. That's right, we are proud Gold Saints. There is no word retreat in our dictionary. A group of goldsons were eager to try. They were all looking forward to the next battle. They would use the coolest moves to slaughter one extreme beast after another like they did just now. But soon, the sound of boom 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 came from the ground. It was like an earthquake, and the shaking became stronger and stronger. What happened? I seem to have a bad feeling. The confidence on the faces of the 36 goldsons was gradually disappearing, and they began to become suspicious. How could there be an earthquake at this time? Could it be that a more powerful extreme beast really came? They were not happy at all. After a while, the shaking of the ground became more intense, almost to the point where it was impossible to stand. Soon, a huge extreme beast appeared behind a ravine not far away. If there was only one, it would never have caused such a large-scale noise. Soon, one after another giant devouring beast appeared from the back of the mountain valley. Each of these devouring beasts was more than 80 meters in size and was heading towards the Golden Saints. Seeing this scene, the Saints who were full of confidence and fighting spirit immediately panicked. Such a large devouring beast should be something that only the Mecha can deal with. Oh my god. Run. Fuck, it's actually a devouring beast as big as a monster. The Saints ran back to the landing ship incoherently. It's not that they don't have the courage to fight the devouring beast, but their opponent shouldn't be such a large devouring beast. In this battle, if they can't dodge in time and are trampled into a meat pie by the devouring beast, it would be too embarrassing. In a very short time, the landing ship took off quickly. This scene was also seen by the fleet staying in space. Everyone. Didn't the Saints clamor to find some powerful devouring beasts before? Now that powerful devouring beasts have appeared, how can they run so fast? Many commanders who were having a video conference looked at the commander of the Sun Tribal Alliance with interest. They had agreed to perform a show to boost morale, but after such an incident, morale was gone anyway. Commander Ryan of the Sun Never Sets Alliance blushed. Embarrassed. He wanted to show everyone the true strength of the Gold Saints, but he showed that the Gold Saints had extraordinary talents in escaping. Then he could only blush and say in the video conference, "Let's talk about Ling Longstar. Everyone. Didn't you hold a video conference to let everyone appreciate the battle performance of the Gold Saints?" The next day, many fleets began to take action against Ling Longstar. One after another, warships began to wander in the gravitational orbit of Ling Longstar, ready to provide fixed-point space support for the large-scale ground forces entering Ling Longstar tomorrow. When everything was going according to plan, the fleet of the Jianmeng Empire appeared from the depths of the starry sky. Sorry to have kept you waiting. The fleet of Jianmeng Empire appeared and sent a message to many fleets. Their densely packed warships came from the depths of the starry sky. When wandering to the orbit of Ling Longstar, a powerful mothership, the god of freedom, directly consumed huge energy to enter the atmosphere of Linglong. It was as if there was something urgent to do. All fleets. ? What the hell? Directly entering Longstar. General Bit sent another message. Let's talk about it later. On behalf of Jianweng Empire, I will kill the pirated lighthouse first. Everyone suddenly realized that it was right. Jianweng Empire has always claimed to be the lighthouse of life, and lighthouse has become a beautiful name for Jianweng Empire. Now someone dares to use the word lighthouse. How can Jianweng Empire let it go? Many fleets immediately understood why Jianweng Empire made such a fuss. This is a face issue. If Jianweng Empire does not show thundering means, this matter will definitely be reported back to Azure Star with their respective fleets in the future. At the time, the Jianweng Empire would lose face because of a little thing. And here, a mothership of the Jianweng Empire, the God of Freedom, has entered Linglong Star and carried out a global scan and global radio wave scan of the entire planet, and finally locked the location of the lighthouse. After a while, it appeared about 2 kilometers away from the lighthouse, still flying in the air. The appearance of such a huge monster immediately caused a big sensation in the lighthouse. Many people leaned on the railings to look at the wonder product of technology in the distance. What a big spaceship! Is it that the people of the old times have come back again? What is such a big spaceship doing here? The lighthouse is very confused now. Because what happened recently is too weird. In the past, there were almost no living humans on Linglong Star except the lighthouse, but recently there have been frequent traces of human activities. And what is the purpose of this huge monster coming here? Even Morgan, the lord of the lighthouse who had just recovered from a serious illness, was looking at the mothership of the God of Freedom of the Jianmeng Empire. What on earth is the other party planning to do? City Lord Morgan muttered to himself, is he here for a friendly exchange? Chapter 458. Genuine Lighthouse versus Pirated Lighthouse. Even City Lord Morgan himself did not quite believe this. If it was really a friendly exchange, then why did the other party's giant spaceship have to stay still in the distance? Looking at it this way, it felt more like a confrontation. What a joke, the lighthouse did not provoke the other party. City Lord Morgan was puzzled. Mark from the Wasteland Hunters was also puzzled. He looked at the giant spaceship in the distance and couldn't help but think of Lin Chen's figure in his mind. At the moment, it seemed that there could be no one else except that person. Because in Mark's cognition, only Lin Chen could own such a large spaceship, but he also couldn't figure it out. The spaceship in the distance seemed to be ill-intentioned, but as far as he knew, the lighthouse didn't seem to have any great hatred with the young man, and the Wasteland Hunters were able to come back thanks to them. At present, everyone in the lighthouse was confused. However, soon after, they were no longer confused. This was because the mothership of the Freedom God of the Jianmeng Empire had clearly displayed the people on the lighthouse. General Bit focused his eyes on the image transmitted back, and gradually sneered. A group of natives dared to provoke the Jianmeng Empire. They really don't know how to live or die. The name of the lighthouse is only worthy at the Jianmeng Empire. The adjutant said. General. General Bit said. Prepare to fire the energy cannon and let this pirated lighthouse go to see God. Yes. Immediately afterwards, a huge energy cannon appeared on the mothership of the God of Liberty and fired a tractor beam, locking the lighthouse firmly, and energy was gathering at the muzzle. In the lighthouse, many people were still looking at the mothership of the God of Liberty with telescopes. Seeing this scene, they were immediately panicked. Although they didn't know what happened, they could understand that the 2 giant cannons had locked the lighthouse. What happened? They pointed the cannon at us for no reason. Oh my God, it's hard to fight. Are the people of the old times returning to Linglong Star to prepare to destroy the world? The people on the lighthouse exclaimed, and it caused a riot. They never thought that the giant spaceship in the distance would attack the lighthouse without saying a word. The City Lord Morgan hurriedly ordered Captain Jinan to control the lighthouse to speed up and avoid the opponent's traction device. However, no matter how the lighthouse flew, it could not avoid the traction lock of the free god. Immediately, the lighthouse was filled with a breath of despair. Once Linglong Star happened during the catastrophe, the lighthouse became the last refuge for mankind, but today this last refuge for mankind may end in history. The City Lord Morgan of the lighthouse showed a look of relief. Perhaps death is the best destination for mankind. It is better to die than to live like a zombie in the lighthouse. But people like him are still a minority after all. Many people have not lived enough and do not have the artistic conception of the City Lord Morgan. For example, Dr. Carrie is one of them. Dr. Carrie does not want to die yet. Whether it is scientific research or life, she cannot die, and she does not want to die. So when she saw that the lighthouse had been locked by a giant spaceship in the distance, she immediately picked up the communicator that Lin Chen had left for her before, and chose to open the communication function without hesitation. Dr. Carey hurriedly said, "Hello, is this Mr. Lin?" Lin Chen's figure immediately appeared on the communicator. At first, Lin Chen was still very surprised to receive the communication from Dr. Carey, and smiled directly. "Dr. Carey, have you figured it out?" Dr. Carey asked. "I want to ask, you want me to join you, but you want to attack the lighthouse, why do you do this?" Lin Chen asked. "What do you mean?" "That's your spaceship," Dr. Carey said, while using the communicator to transmit the current situation of the lighthouse. "Our spaceship has not entered Ling Long Star." Lin Chen took a look at the back. He immediately understood what the spaceship Dr. Carey was talking about. It turned out to be the mothership of the free god of the Jianmeng Empire, and it had already sent out a tractor beam. It would soon launch an attack on the lighthouse. Dr. Carey was stunned. It wasn't Lin Chen's spaceship. "Oh no, how could I forget this?" "Dr. Carey, don't worry, I will send the spaceship to rescue you immediately." Lin Chen suddenly realized. It was all the name of the lighthouse that caused the trouble. The Jianmeng Empire will not give up. Then, Lin Chen immediately said to the artificial intelligence Red Queen, "Quick, start the space jump directly into Ling Long Star, and use the fastest time to communicate with the location of the device." "Yes." Red Queen immediately took control of the Star Destroyer and turned on the space jump function. Suddenly, a Star Destroyer that was hovering in the orbit of Ling Long Star disappeared from the distance. The surrounding warships. What the hell? If you say that the Jianmeng Empire is eager to enter Ling Long Star, everyone can understand, but what are you, a warship of the Wang's Empire, going to do so anxiously? At this moment, on Ling Long Star, General Bit on the mothership of the Free God showed a cold smile on his face and said, "Go to hell." He lightly tapped the launch button with his right hand. Immediately, 2 energy cannons on the huge hull began to gather energy, and then sent 2 energy beams that seemed to be able to destroy everything to sweep towards the lighthouse. This is a dimensionality reduction attack from an advanced civilization, and it is naturally unstoppable for humans like the Ling Long Star lighthouse who are barely struggling to survive in the end of the world. Chirp. The speed of the energy beam was extremely fast, making a sharp sound of breaking through the air, which almost made countless people in the lighthouse look desperate. Even on the lighthouse, many people's pupils shrank and contracted. Seeing the attack they had never seen before sweeping towards the lighthouse, their brains immediately entered a state of confusion. Some people were frightened to the point of incontinence, and there were even many people who fell to the ground with weak legs. Everyone knew that facing this kind of attack, the lighthouse was finished, including everyone on the lighthouse. It's over. It seems that the last human beings will also be annihilated in the long river of history. Just when the lighthouse was shrouded in an atmosphere of despair, just when 2 energy beams were about to attack the lighthouse, a dagger-shaped triangular warship appeared out of thin air, appearing in the distance between the lighthouse and the mothership of the God of Freedom. The incident happened too suddenly, so suddenly that many people did not react to what happened. Seeing the energy beam come in, Lin Chen said without thinking, "Turn on all energy defenses and block all attacks." The reason for doing this is that there is no other way except to block the attack for the lighthouse. If Drive Carey died, Lin Chen could not guarantee that someone would be able to extract drugs that can prolong life through the core of the star in the future. Immediately, the 1,600-meter hull of the Star Destroyer generated an energy defensor. Chirp. At the same time, 2 energy beams also swept in, but they were all blocked by the Star Destroyer. The energy beam did not last long, perhaps because a Star Destroyer suddenly appeared, so it stopped the attack in time. General Bit shouted, "What the hell? Why is it the Wang's Empire again? Why are they everywhere?" Chapter 459 The Trouble with the World Lighthouse. General Bit couldn't figure it out. Why would a warship of the Wang's Empire block the attack for the pirated lighthouse? At the same time, everyone on the lighthouse was stunned. Another spaceship. And this spaceship also blocked the attack for them. What's going on? Why did another spaceship appear? This is totally incomprehensible. The lighthouse should have no intersection with them. Suddenly, countless people on the lighthouse didn't react at all. Their eyes kept wandering between the 2 spaceships in the distance, and their minds were full of doubt about the 2 spaceships. At this time, Lin Chen had already established contact with General Bit. "Why is it you?" When General Bit saw that it was Lin Chen, his anger immediately dissipated a lot. "I understand why you want to attack the lighthouse, but there is a talent I have recruited on that lighthouse." General Bit corrected this problem. "It's a pirated lighthouse." Lin Chen said, "Yes, a pirated lighthouse, so can you let the other party go once?" General Bit pondered for a long time. Thinking that Lin Chen actually recruited a talent on the pirated lighthouse, it proved that the pirated lighthouse still has great value. Then he saw that the lighthouse was a giant flying object in the sky, which fully demonstrated the miracle of the technological product, so he immediately changed his original idea. General Bit said, "For the sake of our friendship, I can let the pirated lighthouse go, but they must come to apologize and change their name. Win over talents. Take the opportunity of apology to catch all the talents of the pirated lighthouse. When the time comes, wait for the pirated lighthouse to come to apologize, and then ask for people. If they don't agree, then I'm sorry, I can only fire the energy cannon again." In the end, the two sides hit it off. Not long after, a landing ship approached the lighthouse. Clang clang clang, one by one, the marines appeared from it and entered the lighthouse. In response, the people in the lighthouse were like frightened rabbits and dared not say anything. They looked at these uninvited guests in fear. A marine squadron leader said, "Where is Dr. Carey? The order from above has been issued, asking us to take you away." There was a commotion among the people around. Soon, Dr. Carey appeared and said, "Are you Mr. Lin's men?" The squadron leader said, "Yes, you have no choice now." Dr. Carey said calmly, "I understand. No help for no reason. Since the other party saved the lighthouse once, they will not give themselves room for choice. Either leave or stay and die." Dr. Carey made a very wise move. However, before she left, she said, "Is it okay for me to take a few people with me?" The squadron leader immediately contacted Lin Chen, and after repeated confirmation, he said, "No problem." After this conversation, the people on the lighthouse began to breathe rapidly, leaving Ling Long Star. This temptation is not small. Many people immediately hinted to Dr. Carey to take them away, but it was a pity that Dr. Carey had already made a choice about the quota. They were her assistant team and the captain of the lighthouse, Jinnan. Taking these few people away would undoubtedly make the people on the lighthouse very regretful, but even if they regretted it, what could they do? Time was running out, and Jinnan and Dr. Carey's assistant team, a total of 10 people, were available. The people on the lighthouse were all full of envy. For example, Mark and others. It was a pity that they were not qualified to enter the small spaceship. At this time, the squadron leader asked who was the manager of the lighthouse, and then said to Mayor Morgan, "Our commander has just reached an agreement with that spaceship. You have to go there to apologize to calm the other party's anger." Everyone in the lighthouse, confess? What crime? The lighthouse has never offended the other party. It was obviously the other party that attacked the lighthouse as soon as it appeared. Now they want the lighthouse to apologize? Mayor Morgan of the lighthouse said, "Thank you for your reminder. I will arrange someone to apologize later." The problem is that now they don't know how to apologize. After a while, everyone in the lighthouse looked at Dr. Carey and Jingnan and others with envy. Not long after they left the spaceship, Mayor Morgan also took several senior officials of the lighthouse to the giant spaceship to apologize. During this period, they went through a series of shocking things and finally entered the interior of the freedom god of the Jianmeng Empire. The three lighthouse executives, led by City Lord Morgan, followed the Jianmeng warriors carefully all the way and finally met General Bid, the commander of the Jianmeng fleet. At this moment, in front of General Bid, it was the pirated lighthouse executives. A soldier whispered to him, "Sir." General Bid waved his hand, motioning the soldiers to go down, and then said coldly to the Morgan City Lord and others, "You are the executives of the pirated lighthouse." Morgan City Lord and others. Pirated lighthouse? General Bid's face darkened and he shouted, "Do you know why you came here to ask for punishment? Please let this chief show you. Lighthouse has always been the beautiful name of our Jianmeng Empire, but you, a group of shameless villains, dare to impersonate our great Jianmeng Empire. Should I say you fight?" Morgan City Lord and others felt like there were 10,000 grass mud horses running over their heads. Is this even possible? This was the first time they'd heard of the name Jianmeng Empire. How could they know that there was a lighthouse in the depths of the starry sky, and how could they know that this powerful lighthouse would come to Ling Long Star to make a fuss for the lighthouse? Mayor Morgan and his men felt that they had nothing to say about their injustice. They could even encounter such a thing, so what else could they say? However, they seemed to have thought of something and immediately said, "We have used the great name of the lighthouse and beg for forgiveness from the Jianmeng Empire, and from now on we will change our name to Flying Tower." General Bid didn't care about the names of Flying Tower and Water Tower. In short, there would be no pirated lighthouses in the future, Because everyone must contribute to the Jianweng Empire. Okay, since you have admitted your mistake, I won't make it difficult for you. Now there is a chance to leave this world and serve the Jianweng Empire. We're willing. Mayor Morgan and his men were overjoyed. Does this count as surviving a great disaster and having good fortune in the future? Before, they envied Dr. Carrie and those who could leave Linglong Star, but now, they don't think so at all. Because they can also leave Linglong Star. In general, the genuine lighthouse and the pirated lighthouse are all happy. And here. A landing ship also entered the interior of the Star Destroyer. Jingnan, Dr. Carrie and others were very uneasy and nervous at the moment. After entering such a powerful warship for the first time, they really realized the power of Lin Chen and the forces behind him. After a while, they were taken to the command room where Lin Chen was. Lin Chen smiled and said, "So Jingnan is here too." Lin Chen still has a great liking for Jingnan. Not only does she have the royal sister's temperament and figure, but she also saves him a lot of trouble. Dr. Carrie said, "I thought about it before and felt that Jingnan is suitable to leave with me. These are my assistants." Lin Chen said, "Okay, there are much fewer people than I expected. Then what will our future work be? Let's talk about it when we return to the Wangxian Empire. During this period, you need to live in this warship to learn about all aspects of knowledge." Jingnan asked again, "Do you know the other spaceship?" "Yes, from the same planet." During the conversation, the Star Destroyer took off and flew into space. Jinnan's expression was complicated. After all, Linglong Star was a world she was familiar with. She looked out the window and asked, "I heard Mark say that you came here for the mana flower. Are you going to leave Linglong Star now?" "Someone will do it later." "Someone will do it later?" Jinnan was very surprised. Could it be that Lin Chen had other strengths that he had not yet revealed? Chapter 460. The 5-year term has expired. Thinking of this, Jinnan herself couldn't believe it. If the spaceship left, how could they get the mana flower? Even if Lin Chen still had hidden strength that had not been revealed, it shouldn't be worth it to just leave. However, after a while, she didn't think so. That was because the Star Destroyer was flying into outer space. It wasn't until the spaceship left Linglong Star and came to the gravitational orbit that Jingnan was shocked. A feeling of weakness came over her legs. She witnessed the vastness of the universe through the window of the Star Destroyer, but she also witnessed the spectacular wonders outside the atmosphere of Linglong Star. That's a spaceship. Various kinds of spaceships covered almost every area on the gravitational orbit of Linglong Star. According to preliminary estimates, at least thousands of spaceships surrounded Linglong Star from all directions. Terrible. Jinnan was swallowing her saliva, and a feeling of weakness was sweeping through her body crazily. She didn't know what words to use to describe her mood at this moment. Lin Chen said, "Some of those warships are ours." Jinnan was surprised and asked, "What about the other spaceships?" "They are all from the same planet." Jinnan was so shocked that she couldn't help but subconsciously close her long legs and swallowed her saliva. All of this was a big blow to her. It seems that no matter how much she thought that the forces behind Lin Chen were powerful, now it seems that she still seriously underestimated the strength of Lin Chen's planet. To be able to dispatch so many spaceships, it must be an advanced civilization. Later, the fleets began to go to Linglong Star to obtain mana flowers. What kind of immortal devouring beast was almost beaten into a dock under the powerful weapons of the advanced civilization? After a long time, the mana flowers on Linglong Star were almost harvested, and the rest was to sweep again. But in short, this trip to Linglong Star was worthwhile for many forces, because the number and quality of mana flowers obtained on Linglong Star far exceeded Kyber Crystal. Lin Chen looked out the window and said, "Okay, we should go. Nothing big has happened recently. Perhaps the only big thing is that evolved humans were discovered on Linglong Star. These humans belong to the same category as Bayukuri. The two sides have reached a cooperation, allowing Bayukuri's evolved talents to manage the trees that grow mana flowers, so that Linglong Star can become a supplementary planet for the energy consumed by the Azure Star." Gradually, not only the fleet of the Wangxian Empire showed signs of returning, but many other fleets were also ready to return with full loads. This harvest is enough to support various forces to stop worrying about development in a short period of time. On the Azure Star, a large amount of super-energy material mana flowers are used to build spaceships. Humans have begun to burst out with war potential. The Azure Star has reached the peak of development. A large number of soldiers and warships are in service, all preparing for the War of Revenge 5 years later. For this reason, a large amount of natural resources are consumed. Such an astonishing war potential has erupted, which is unimaginable and unpredictable for non-human civilizations headed by the trade union. They thought that as long as the development needs of Azure Star were controlled, Azure Star would not pose a threat, but they seriously underestimated the characteristics of human beings. No biological civilization could understand what human beliefs were, what human dignity and honor were. They only knew that human beings were just a race that could be slaughtered at will. But it was this race that could be slaughtered at will that was quietly brewing a shocking war. In a blink of an eye, the 5-year period had passed. After 5 years of development, Azure Star already had sufficient capital to support future wars. This day was the last day for the humiliating treaty that was forced to be signed with aliens to be invalidated. A meeting involving all the high-level people in the Jianmeng Empire was held. A serious atmosphere was pervasive. Pussy had been waiting for this moment for too long. This was the last madness before he could act, because 5 years not only brought the strength of the Jianmeng Empire, but also deprived Pussy of his time. The Minister of the Interior will announce the armament of the Jianmeng Empire. The Minister of the Interior stood up with a serious face and said, after 5 years of development, the strength of our Jianmeng Empire is no longer what it used to be. Let me tell you about our war preparedness. The Jianmeng Empire has 3 human planets, 20 fleets, with a total of more than 1,500 warships of various sizes, nearly 70,000 TIE fighters. Number of people, 22 million. Once a state of war is entered, war factories in various places can burst out 3 years of armaments production in a short period of time. There is not much time left, and the conference room is quiet. Many people present are thinking over and over again about the reasons behind these numbers. It can be said that in the past 5 years, the Jianmeng Empire has done nothing except frantically developing armaments. However, developing armaments is also beneficial. Now the strength of the Jianmeng Empire is no longer what it used to be. Only with sufficient strength can it have sufficient development and protect itself from external threats. After a long time, a senior executive said, I think it's about time. Pussy asked, does anyone want to add anything? No. Well, tomorrow our Jianmeng Empire will officially enter a state of war and unilaterally declare war on the trade union and all civilizations in the M9 Star Zone. Star Zone. According to the human wandering fleet that came to assist before, the Andromeda Galaxy is divided into 10 star zones. The blue star is located in the desolate M10 star zone, and the non-human civilizations such as the trade union are in the M9 star zone. Someone was surprised and asked, why is it a unilateral declaration of war? Pussy said with an unhappy face, oh, fuck, if we declare war unilaterally, we can launch a sneak attack on the other side. Suddenly, everyone's eyes suddenly lit up. Great. This idea is really great. No matter what he calls a war without declaration or an unfair victory, isn't it enough to win? After thinking deeply about the benefits of a sneak attack, many people present became excited as if they were injected with chicken blood, as if they couldn't wait to launch a sneak attack immediately. This is a good opportunity to show our strength. That's right, the history of mankind must be written by our Jianmeng Empire. The overlord-level confidence of the Jianmeng Empire returned. And the smile on Pussy's face gradually became more unbridled. It seems that God has not allowed the Jianmeng Empire to keep a low profile anymore. In this case, let's show the style of the Jianmeng Empire and let all mankind see the terrifying power of the Jianmeng Empire. On that day, the Jianmeng Empire issued a notice to all mankind facing the blue star, the center of all mankind. In the notice, Pussy appeared in person on camera and said with high spirits, friends of all mankind, no matter who you are or what your identity is, as long as you are human, please listen to me. No matter what difficulties and challenges we face, as a community of shared destiny, we humans should abandon prejudice and unite to forge ahead in the long river of time. Now I declare that the Jianmeng Empire officially declares war on the Evil Trade Alliance. 1 month later, the Jianmeng Empire will assemble all its fleets to launch a sneak attack on all civilized planets in the M9 Star Zone. Please look forward to our good news. As soon as the news came out, it was like an unprecedented hurricane that continued to ravage every corner of the blue planet. In a very short period of time, the world was boiling. Chapter 461. For that continuation of racial value, everyone on the Azure Star wants to kill the Evil Trade Alliance. Because it was the Evil Trade Alliance that once destroyed 50 cities on the Azure Star and separated countless people from their wives and children. Even so, in the end, the Azure Star was still forced to sign a humiliating treaty and was robbed of half of its precious resources in exchange for 5 years of peace. So whether it is the Azure Star or the Evil Trade Alliance, both sides will never give up, and war will break out sooner or later, but people never thought that this moment would come so quickly. What the hell is a sneak attack on the M9 Star Zone? Is the Jianming Empire going to fight guerrilla warfare in the M9 Star Zone? Many people subconsciously think that since it is a war, the warships of both sides should compete across the sky. The sneak attack by the Jianming Empire immediately refreshed many people's three views. Forget it. In short, the Jianming Empire is worthy at being the global hegemon, and it is awesome that it dares to take the lead in declaring war on the Trade Alliance. However, no matter what the outside world thinks, countless Jianming people are excited. Wow, we are the first to declare war on the Evil Trade Alliance. This must be God's will. Our Jianming Empire is the global hegemon, and destroying a mere trade alliance is naturally a piece of cake. On this day, the Jianming Empire was filled with an atmosphere of extreme confidence. Their pride as Jianming people has returned. Of course, Puxi's pride has also returned, and his depressed mood has finally become much more refreshing. The effect of demonstrating strength this time is textbook-level perfection. After a long time, Puxi regained his composure. Puxi did not lose himself in blind self-confidence. At present, the Jianming Empire has a total of more than 1,500 warships, but there is still a small gap with the Trade Alliance. He has not forgotten the scene of the Trade Alliance sending out more than 6,000 warships at one time in their past. If his assets are not covered, a sudden sneak attack will certainly cause heavy damage to the Trade Alliance, but over time, these warships will be eaten up by the Trade Alliance. So Puxi was ready to get all of humanity out of the quagmire of war. He also understood that even without him, the Blue Star would start a war sooner or later. So, on that day, the Jianming Empire contacted all the human forces that could be contracted, inviting all of humanity to launch a preemptive strike against the Trade Alliance and the non-human civilization in the M9 Star Zone. The news quickly spread to all the human forces that could be contacted. The content was very simple, that humans should be united against the enemy, and the time for counterattack had come, and people were required to cooperate with the Jianming Empire to launch a sneak attack. The news spread. At this moment in the Wangxin Empire, Lin Chen was discussing the meaning of life with Dr. Jie. After a long time, Lin Chen said with satisfaction, "You can think like this, which proves that the direction is not wrong." These days, Dr. Jie has fully demonstrated her own value. She is not as proficient as Dr. Xiao, nor as involved as Lao Am. Dr. Jie only knows the field of ecology, but this has also made Dr. Jie have extremely high attainments in the field of ecology. Dr. Carey said, so the theory that Ling Longxing wanted to surpass the gods before was correct? Maybe. But what's the problem? Dr. Xiao said, equivalent exchange. Dr. Carey frowned deeply. If we continue to conduct ecological research and conduct experiments to surpass the gods, we will need more advanced substances. But what kind of substance can make humans surpass the gods? Dr. Carey thought about it for a long time, but still had no clue. And Lin Chen knew that this substance was actually the core of a star, the core of a planet. This substance was enough to support the cost of human life extension. However, Lin Chen did not remind Dr. Carey to prevent her from going astray. At this time, a guard came in and notified that he was going to a meeting. Lin Chen explained a few words and left the institute. 2 hours later, Lin Chen came to the capital. After development, the current capital has already undergone earth-shaking changes. As the first city in the new era, the capital has undoubtedly become a supergiant city that integrates power, politics, culture, technology, etc. The car traveled through the streets of the city for a while and came to the meeting hall of the Wangxin Empire. As soon as Lin Chen entered the room, he found that there were still quite a few people, all familiar faces. "Sorry for being late," Jiang Minjiwan said, "take a seat." The meeting began. Jiang Minjiwan told the news sent by the Jianming Empire. Finally, he also asked the Minister of Internal Affairs to report the current armament of the empire. The Minister of Internal Affairs looked at the document seriously and said, after 5 years of explosive development, the current strength of the empire is no longer what it used to be. I will list the current armaments below. The original battleships were transferred to Xinhua Star and will be mentioned later. Wangxin Empire. It has 15 fleets, a total of 300 star destroyers, 510 assault ships, and more than 40,000 X-wing fighters. Number of people: 17.7 million subordinate star. Xinhua Star, which has a mixed fleet composed of Millennium Falcon, assault ships, and battleships, totaling more than 1,000 ships. Kepler Star and Deming National Star can only provide ground forces due to technological reasons. As the numbers were announced one by one, the conference hall fell into a quiet atmosphere, and people were thinking about these numbers. In just 5 years, the Empire has grown from the original 1.7 million regular troops to an astonishing number 10 times. But there is no way around it. You know, a Star Destroyer can accommodate at least more than 20,000 soldiers to live normally, not to mention that the war is imminent. Not only the Wang's Empire, but the whole world is facing this situation. Such a fierce development is preparing for war. Now, the front of the war has been quietly ignited. Can the Wang's Empire still keep its composure? After a long time, the top leaders spoke one after another. Fight and take back what you have lost. Only by burning the war to the enemy's door can we reduce unnecessary losses. Even if we don't fight, the trade alliance will come to fight us sooner or later, so we should take the initiative. It was almost a one-sided proposal. For those aliens who have been eyeing the Azure Star, it is best to attack them unexpectedly and decisively. What's more, even if the Azure Star doesn't fight, the trade alliance will come back sooner or later. In the end, Jiang Minjiuan stood up with his hands on the table and directly tore up the humiliating treaty that the Wang's Empire had once exchanged for peace in the form of compensation. Fight. It's just a simple word, but it fully demonstrates the determination of the Wang's Empire. Or it can be said that it is the determination of mankind. This is a war, and it is also a struggle for the survival of racial civilizations. No one is willing to continue to exchange peace for compensation, and no one is willing to live under the mercy of other biological races. More importantly, everything done today is for the continuation of the human race. Later, the Wang's Empire issued a series of orders. At the same time, the same situation was being played out in almost identical versions in various parts of the Blue Star. Various forces chose to join the war and prepared to launch a sneak attack on the Trade Alliance. In the end, the Blue Star officially entered the prelude to war. As Lin Chen said, this was just a 5-year truce. Now that the truce is over, the war will naturally begin. Humans want revenge and avenge their previous shame. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 462. Let's launch a sneak attack first. Human warships and soldiers from all over the world are gathering to prepare for the upcoming battle. At the same time, in the M9 star zone deep in the starry sky, a major event also happened at this moment. The many biological civilizations in the star zone are not harmonious, and even a large force like the Trade Union cannot rule the world, so it is normal for them to intrigue and guard against each other. But today, the Trade Union held an important meeting, not for the many biological civilizations, but for the potential threat of the Blue Star. The Trade Union once snatched half of the super energy material from the Blue Star to control the development of the Blue Star, but now the 5-year deadline has passed. This forced the Trade Union to pay attention to the Blue Star again. At the meeting, the 6 trade governors represented the highest authority of the Trade Union. The contract is expired. Should we continue to attack Azure Star? I think we should continue to exploit Azure Star. Only in this way can we completely control its development and prevent it from posing a threat to us. It's better not to go. After all, the last time we attacked Azure Star, we didn't gain any benefits. After a lot of arguments, they couldn't come up with a complete plan. These trade governors prioritized their own interests. They agreed that since Azure Star had already lost half of its resources to the Trade Union, it would be equivalent to controlling the development of Azure Star and would not pose a threat to the Trade Union. However, they were still worried and sent several reconnaissance ships to Azure Star. Even the Trade Union had such an attitude, let alone other civilizations in the M9 star zone. Taking away half of Azure Star's resources would mean cutting off the development needs of those humans, so it would not pose any threat to the star zone at all, and would only end up being manipulated at will. Just when the M9 star zone had not yet realized that the danger had formed and was still immersed in the past victory, the Azure Star had already sounded the silent assembly call, preparing to launch an unprecedented war. 2 reconnaissance ships belonging to the Trade Alliance were flying towards the Azure Star. At this moment, the Azure Star's warships returned from the depths of the starry sky and assembled one after another. As time went by, the area near the Azure Star was already full of warships ready to go. Although the shapes of these warships were varied, they were neatly arrayed, almost occupying a large area of space. Even with the naked eye, it was impossible to see where the end of the warships was. The Galaxy troops came. The Xinhua Star troops came. As an ally of the Azure Star, they chose to advance and retrieved with the fate of the human race. All the warships acted together, a total of more than 7,000 ships. The combat personnel were as many as hundreds of millions. This is the first large-scale war in human history, and also that first war launched against non-human creatures. Time is running out, and the Azure Star is about to launch the horn of attack. But Pussy appeared in time and stopped the warships that were about to set sail. So many warships gathered together for a sneak attack. What a joke. Pussy turned on the communication video and said calmly, "Everyone, don't rush to start a war. Let our Jianmeng fleet make a sneak attack first to boost the morale of mankind. Everyone. I always feel something is strange. Is this the Jianmeng Empire losing its patience and starting to make trouble again? I hope it won't turn over again." Pussy said again, "Everyone, the only correct choice is to make a sneak attack first. After the Jianmeng Empire sneak attack, it will definitely attract the pursuit of the trade union. At the time, the Jianmeng fleet will lead the trade union into an ambush circle, and all our warships can encircle and annihilate the trade union." Hiss. Everyone took a breath of cold air. It was not because Pussy's idea was so cruel, but because it was too wonderful. When the Jianmeng fleet launches a sneak attack on the trade union, it will definitely attract the angry pursuit of the trade union. When it enters the ambush circle, won't it be eaten up cleanly at the time? As expected of Pussy, his mind is full of conspiracy and intrigue. Many people approve of this plan. A sneak attack. If the trade union sends out warships, then continue the sneak attack. In short, the trade union will be engaged until the trade union is angry and sends warships to chase the Jianmeng fleet. And Pussy's face also showed excitement. This is destined to be a war that will be recorded in the history of mankind. In the next few hundred years, each planet belonging to mankind will surely erect a great monument in the image of Pussy, the Statue of Liberty. The smile on Pussy's face was almost unstoppable. It seems that in a few hundred years, it is time for me, Pussy, to sit in the position of God. The next day, the 20 fleets of the Jianmeng Empire merged into a compilation fleet led by Pussy himself, and they marched towards the depths of the starry sky with an indomitable momentum. The rest of the fleets also set off one after another. Such a large-scale fleet of warships constantly shuttled through the starry sky. Soon, in addition to the Jianmeng Empire's mixed fleet, which was still rushing to the M9 star zone deep in the starry sky at the fastest speed, the fleet group formed by the human side chose a starry sky full of small meteorite belts as an ambush site. As long as the Jianmeng Empire's fleet lets the trade union's fleet here, the human side will certainly annihilate all the trade union's fleets. Now it's just waiting for the Jianmeng Empire's fleet to launch a sneak attack. However, the Jianmeng Empire's sneak attack plan is doomed to end in failure. The Jianmeng Empire's assembled fleet sailed in the vast starry sky and occupied a large space. Pussy looked at the starry sky confidently. After a while, General Bit appeared beside Pussy and said, "It is expected to enter the M9 star zone in 1,600 hours. Pussy nodded and said, "Very good, our Jianmeng Empire has a chance to become famous." General Bit also said confidently, "The proud Jianmeng Empire is not afraid of any challenge." The two of them had no worries about this sneak attack at all, and they were all full of mysterious confidence, which was the confidence that came from showing strength. Because this sneak attack was done without anyone noticing, sneaking into the M9 star zone for a sneak attack, the trade union would never notice it. As time went on, they were about to enter the M9 star zone, a star zone full of non-human civilizations. However, just after entering the M9 star zone, before they could identify the star map, they were discovered in advance by two reconnaissance ships from the trade union heading to the Azure Star. For the reconnaissance ships of the trade union, this fleet that suddenly appeared was definitely not a fleet of any civilization in the star zone. The design concept of the battleship is very different, and it is more like a human battleship. And with so many human battleships, the Azure Star is very suspicious. In addition, any human planet currently known will not pose a threat to the many civilizations in the star zone, not to mention that the 5-year agreement has just expired, so the Azure Star has the greatest motivation to sneak into the M9 star zone. This is big news. The reconnaissance ship immediately sent a message to the trade union. More than 1,500 warships were found sneaking into the M9 star zone. From various characteristics, it is suspected that they are warships belonging to the Azure Star. After receiving this news, the headquarters of the trade union was immediately in a state of deep shock. Chapter 463. Did the Wangxi Empire betray us? Are warships sneaking into the M9 star zone? It seems that this is not a coincidence. The 5-year peace treaty with the Azure Star has just expired, and a group of warships have sneaked into the M9 star zone. It seems that the Azure Star's warships must have come for revenge. With this thought, the 6 governors of the trade union all showed sneers on their faces. Previously, it was the remnants of the human race who sacrificed themselves to barely allow the Azure Star to survive the crisis, but now, the Azure Star's warships dared to sneak into the M9 star zone for a sneak attack. Without the protection of the remnants of the human race, a mere 1,500 warships dared to sneak into the M9 star zone to cause trouble. It seems that the humans of the Azure Star are clearly here to deliver food. In this case, then, let's wipe out the Azure Star human fleet. So, the trade union began to summon warships. After 5 years, the 3-word Azure Star appeared again in this vast star zone. In addition to non-human civilizations, there was also human civilization in the star zone. However, human civilization is almost extinct now. On human planets, most humans are enslaved by non-human races and become breeding grounds and slaves of non-human races. Only a few human resistance forces are struggling in vain. Now, we have heard the news from the Azure Star. As one of the lowest creatures in the star zone, humans have undoubtedly ignited the flame of hope. As a human planet, the Azure Star can make the Trade Alliance take almost no advantage. Undoubtedly, as long as this planet is still there, the human race will sooner or later really stand up. However, when they heard that the fleet sent by the Azure Star was here to die, the faces of these human slaves who are struggling in dire straits immediately became extremely painful. Because with the foundation of the Azure Star, combined with those human wandering fleets hidden in the depths of the starry sky, as long as they can maintain a stable development for a few hundred years, they will definitely be able to change the fate of the human race. But now they are rushing directly into the M9 star zone to die. This is the nest of non-human civilization. And this news is still raging in the M9 star zone. This explosive news eventually swept the entire non-human civilization. What? Azure Star is here to die. I knew Azure Star would be a threat sooner or later, and now it dares to sneak into the M9 star zone. We must eradicate this scourge of the human race. Each non-human civilization has sent out its own powerful warships. As time goes by, in order to completely wipe out the group of human fleets that came to die, these non-human civilizations showed an extremely united attitude and joined the fleet of the Trade Alliance. In the end, more than 6,000 warships gathered together and headed towards the starry sky in one direction. This time, they want to make those human fleets never come back. At this moment, many fleets in the small meteorite group area are still hiding in this area. Many warships are paying attention to the strong fleet that sneaked into the M9 star zone. During the video conference, Jiang Minjiwan said, looking at the situation, we should enter the M9 star zone. It is estimated that after 2,000 hours, Pussy will lead the pursuing trade union to come to us. Nicholas Roundon said, I hope there will be no more overturning. If the car overturns, the Azure Star will really be finished. But I always feel that the old man Pussy is a little unreliable. Time is running out. The Jianmeng assembly fleet they are concerned about is quietly approaching a planet. According to the star map left by the wandering fleet before, the nearest planet should be a planet belonging to the trade union. This starry sky is very calm, as if it has not noticed the arrival of the uninvited guest at all. Pussy's Iranizina suddenly disappeared, revealing an excited look, and excitedly said, it seems that God is helping us in secret. Everything that is happening now is smoother than expected. It seems that this time we are going to do something big. Pass my order, notify the fleet to speed up, and try to sneak attack more planets in the shortest time to attract the main fleet of these aliens to chase us. Pussy is full of confidence and high spirits. Now victory is only one step away. Suddenly, the more than 1,500 warships sailed forward at a faster speed, majestic and domineering all the way, and even stopped hiding their whereabouts. Because, even at this time, even if the trade union discovered it, there was no way to deal with it. It would take some time to summon the warships. By the time, he and his fleet would have already completed the sneak attack and escaped. However, as the fleet continued to approach the planet, they did not know that they had already entered the ambush circle of the non-human civilization of the trade union. In order to be able to eat this group of human fleets, more than 6,000 warships have been hiding behind many planets in this star field for a long time. Now that the fish has taken the bait, there is no need for them to hide under the cover of the planet. A trade governor issued an order. Attack, don't let the human fleet escape, and be sure to annihilate it. Immediately, more than 6,000 warships appeared from behind that planet and approached the fleet of the Jianmeng Empire from all directions. The warships of the Jianmeng fleet sounded the alarm, and the display showed that a huge number of warships nearby were surrounding this place. General Bit said in surprise, "Oh no, we fell into a trap." Pussy subconsciously found an excuse. Did the Wangzi Empire betray us? I can't understand why the trade union discovered this flawless plan and sent a large number of warships to set up an ambush. Everyone's face turned black. It would be ridiculous to say that the Wangzi Empire betrayed us. You should know that the hatred of the Wangzi Empire for the trade union is no less than that of the Jianmeng Empire. General Bit asked worriedly, "Should we retreat now?" Pussy also realized that his idea was too naive. First of all, the Wangzi Empire would definitely not betray humans, because this was related to the life and death of this blue planet. After thinking everything through, he looked at the planet in front of him reluctantly. If there was another hour, he could launch a sneak attack and then evacuate, but now it has reached the point where he has to retreat. Otherwise, if it is a little later, the trade union's warships may surround and block the starry sky. Now it has reached the point where he has to retreat. Pussy immediately said without hesitation, "Pass my order, notify your ships to retreat as much as possible." More than 1,500 warships began to retreat, and they were accelerating into the subspace to jump. In the previous second, they were full of murderous intent. In the next second, they were accelerating to escape. This almost made the morale of these family assets of the Jianmeng Empire drop to an extreme. They wanted to sneak attack and make a big thing, but they became dogs before they made a big thing. If they don't run away, they will be chased and beaten by the trade union. It's hard to accept. As soon as they retreated, many warships led by the trade union also began to chase them and fired tractor beams. The purpose is very simple, not to let any warship belonging to humans go. Chirp chirp chirp. More than 6,000 warships launched attacks continuously during the pursuit, and dense energy lights illuminated the nearby starry sky and swept over quickly. Quick, turn on the energy defensor. Some of the lodged warships of the Jianmeng fleet immediately spent a lot of energy to prop up a series of rain shields that could protect the hull. However, there were too many intensive attacks, and the energy attacks from the Trade Alliance were constantly eroding the energy defensor, like a candle in the wind that could be blown out at any time. Chapter 464 Support time is running out. Some of the Jianmeng fleet's warships have been destroyed, and the number is still increasing. Although the Jianmeng fleet has already increased its speed to the extreme, and although they will use sufficient firepower to attack many warships such as the Trade Union during the retreat. But there are too many enemy ships. On average, the enemy ships are more than 4 times the number of the Jianmeng fleet. As time goes by, dozens of warships of the Jianmeng fleet have been destroyed during their escape, and there are countless warships with damaged hulls. This is a typical bad start. I wanted to launch a sneak attack, but before I could do anything, I was chased out of the M9 star zone by the Trade Union. In the command ship, Pussy's voice was hoarse because of constantly issuing orders. Even so, he kept urging, "Retreat, retreat quickly." As time goes by, almost every once in a while, a warship will be destroyed and become space garbage. Only a few survivors on the ship escape on landing ships, and the rest are buried in this vast universe, and not even a body can be found. Pussy's heart is bleeding. There is no other way except to escape. We will definitely not be able to win by fighting. Suddenly, I felt that my idea was too quick. If we had attacked the N9 star zone from the beginning, we might not have ended up like this. After a long time, General Bit came to report with a heavy face, saying, "We had more than 1,500 warships before we set out, and now we have lost contact with 112 of them, and the hulls of 350 warships have suffered varying degrees of damage." Pussy asked in a deep voice, "Have you calculated how much time it will take to reach the ambush site?" General Bit said, "About 900 hours. Pussy. 900 hours, isn't that nearly a month? Then even if we successfully escape to the ambush point, how much of these assets will be left? Contact all human fleets and tell them that the plan has changed. We're fleeing. If no rescue comes, the Jianmeng fleet will be wiped out." But what? Are you watching so many Jianmeng people die inexplicably and remain indifferent? Even if the warriors of the Jianmeng Empire die in battle, it is better than this cowardly death. Go and contact me. In the end, General Big had to do it. Soon, the news spread to the ambush circle still in a small meteorite belt. Everyone. Sure enough, it turned over again. The perfect plan was handed over to the Jianmeng Empire, but it was played to the point of being chased by the trade union. However, at the moment, these fleets from humans are facing a problem. As we all know, the current human fleets added together are almost equal to the number of the trade union fleets that are chasing the Jianmeng fleet. But don't forget that this is only a part of the warships of those non-human civilizations. If they cannot be annihilated with absolute advantage, then the human fleets that have been developed with great difficulty will most likely encounter difficulties. Another video conference was held urgently. Now our problem is whether to save them or not. Let's save that old guy pussy. Although our number of warships is far less than those of the M9 Star Zone, don't forget that we have fought with the trade union once before. After saying this, everyone in the meeting's eyes lit up. Yes. How could I forget this? The first battle between Azure Star and that trade union was a classic battle of winning with fewer people. The number of our side may not be as good as the other side, but there is definitely no problem in quality, not to mention that a new combat weapon, the space fighter, has been born. And at the beginning, the Wang's Empire only had one Star Destroyer, and it launched a counterattack with the Azure Star fleet, but now it has dispatched 300 ships at once. It doesn't seem too much for one Star Destroyer to fight 10 trade union warships. If you think about it this way, it seems that there is a possibility of winning. More importantly, now everyone from Azure Star deeply understands that once there is an advantage in this war, then the wandering fleet hidden in the Sea of Stars will inevitably appear and participate in this war. So there is no need to set up an ambush here now, just use the absolute advantage to defeat the non-human civilization. Later, the warships from the human forces no longer hid, and emerged from the hidden ambush circle one after another. They had only one purpose, to rush to support as quickly as possible, otherwise it would be too late, and the space force of the Jianmeng Empire would suffer a devastating blow in the future. One by one, the warships began to sail again. It seemed that for the decisive battle, none of these warships were slack. As time went by, in the vast starry sky, it was already 500 hours. At the time, the Jianmeng fleet was still running around, and the warships led by the trade union were still chasing them. In a command ship, the governor of trade said excitedly, "Don't let those humans run away." The adjutant said worriedly, "Is it a conspiracy of humans?" The governor of trade said confidently, "During this period, if those damn humans hadn't run fast, they might have been destroyed. If there was a conspiracy, they would have destroyed more than 200 warships by us. I always feel that those humans on the Azure Star are very strange. Why do they dare to sneak into the M9 Star Zone with only more than 1,000 warships?" The governor of trade said confidently, "Even if it is a conspiracy, what can it do? In just 5 years, the Azure Star is not enough to pose a danger to us. What's more, our warships are one of the main forces of the M9 Star Zone. Can't we destroy the human civilization?" Confidence. Blind confidence. This is the infinite confidence given to the governor of trade by the warships. You must know that the more than 6,000 warships chasing humans are one of the main warships in the M9 Star Zone, so how difficult is it to destroy the human fleet? However, what bothers the governor of trade the most at present is that those human fleets can only run away and dare not fight at all. So angry. Time is running out, and the governor of trade is overjoyed. That's because the human fleet that had been fleeing all the way did not run away. First, the trade union calmly looked at the nearby starry sky, and after confirming that there was no place for ambush, it immediately issued an order. Attack, eliminate some evil humans. But they didn't know that they had already jumped into the encirclement. At this moment, Pussy had just contacted the supporting fleet. In another 10 minutes, the human warship group will directly jump to the vicinity of this starry sky, and can form a siege on the enemy. Pussy sneered. Notify your ships to launch an attack. In 6 hours, the large force will appear and work with us to eliminate those evil non-human creatures. Chapter 465. The strong and fierce man who faces death with equanimity. I have been running away lately, but I am full of anger. Now it is finally time to fight. The warriors in the Jianmeng Empire warship group showed their high fighting spirit, although the number of enemy warships is several times that of their own side. But these warriors from the Jianmeng Empire will definitely let those evil aliens feel what it means to be a showman. Show them to death. Behind, the warships of both sides were confronting each other. Not long after, The war was about to break out. Attack! Attack! The Jianmeng Empire and the trade union issued orders to attack one after another. For a moment, the prelude to the battle appeared. A large number of tractor beams illuminated the dark starry sky, embellishing colorful and exquisite lights. At this moment, the governor of trade sneered. "You're overestimating yourself. His side has more than 6,000 warships. Even if they're crushed, they can crush those warships of mankind into space garbage." Then the battle began. Although the number of warships of the Jianmeng Empire is far less than the number of warships brought by the trade union, once the war started, they still showed their impressive combat effectiveness. There was no strategy to speak of, the two sides just fired energy weapons at each other. This was a life and death contest, and each side was fighting with all their might. In this battlefield, warships from all sides moved and interspersed from time to time. Time was running out, and the Jianmeng fleet, a fleet from human forces, burst out with amazing combat power, forcing the trade union to increase the rhythm of the attack. They began to deploy space fighters, a kind of space weapon, to disintegrate the defense of the human fleet at close range. Densely packed space fighters were deployed, and these space fighters seemed to have turned into a metal torrent sweeping towards the Jianmeng fleet. Pussy sneered, "Do you think you are the only ones with space fighters?" General Bit asked, "Should we also deploy fighters?" Deploy. At the moment, Pussy was full of confidence, time was passing, and the fleet coming to support was approaching. He never thought that when the Jianmeng Empire went to war with the aliens, other forces on the Blue Star would be indifferent and watch them die, because this was a struggle for the survival of the human race. Soon, the Jianmeng Empire also deployed tens of thousands of space fighters. The image of a combat unit like the TIE fighter is really hard to complement, like a collar of a suit, but at least it is a type of space fighter, and it belongs to the category of combat. One after another, the TIE fighters flew from the mothership of the God of Freedom, and a total of more than 70,000 TIE fighters also formed a black metal torrent and rushed madly towards the space fighters of the trade union. For a time, the two sides fought continuously. If the battle between warships is a head-on collision, then the battle between space fighters is a race and competition, because the battle process needs to be completed at a very fast speed. The two sides once again wrestled into a brawl. The trade union was first to win by numbers, which seems to be impossible in a short time. Is that a space fighter? From the appearance of the TIE fighter, many non-human racers were shocked. 5 years ago, the Azure Star did not have a combat unit like a space fighter, but 5 years have passed, and the other side actually has such a large-scale space fighter. This has further strengthened the determination of the non-human civilization headed by the trade union to eradicate the Azure Star. Because the humans of Azure Star made them see a threat, a growing threat, and its development speed was beyond their imagination. It was as if war would promote the development of Azure Star and break their technological barriers. It has only been 5 years, and so many space fighters have appeared. What if they're allowed to develop? Wouldn't the Andromeda Galaxy go from 2 top forces to 3? Thinking of the terribleness of the Protoss and the Zerg, and thinking that the human race will become that kind of existence in the future, the trade union immediately paid attention to this human fleet and wanted to destroy it at all costs and strangle Azure Star in the cradle. The governor of trade immediately issued an order for a general attack. Launch a general attack and destroy all human fleets. As soon as the order was issued, the combat effectiveness of the fleet group of the trade union increased greatly, and it also launched the most fierce attack. Various energy attacks continued to attack the Jianmeng fleet. Although space is a vacuum environment, there is nowhere as a medium for sound to spread, but the scenes of the continuous attacks still make people subconsciously feel shocked and powerless from the inside out. For a while, under the general attack of the trade union warships, they attacked with great advantage. Even the Jianmeng fleet, which had a strong fighting power, gradually began to be unable to cope with it and gradually showed signs of fatigue. At this time, in the command ship of the Jianmeng Empire, reports on the battle situation from various ships were constantly received. Report: the hull of the A-17 battleship was severely damaged, requesting assistance. Report: the A-55 Free God mothership can only maintain the navigation state, requesting to withdraw from the battle. Report. One report after another was concentrated in the command ship where Pussy was. Pussy was almost furious when he heard it, and he shouted repeatedly, "Fuck, where is the support? Why hasn't the support come yet?" It was agreed to be 6 hours, and now 7 hours have passed. General Bit whispered, "How about we withdraw first?" Withdraw. Pussy was immediately furious. On the issue of right and wrong, he was never vague. If he withdrew now, the warships of the trade union would be less restrained and would directly point their troops at the entire Jianmeng fleet. Even when the large army of Azure Star arrives, they will rush into the battle. So at this time, they can only delay time until the reinforcements arrive. General Bit said. But our current losses are too great. Pussy said. Notify every Jianmeng in all warships. They are all warriors of the Jianmeng Empire. The blood they shed now is not for others, but for future generations. If we avoid the war now, then the future generations will suffer. Fight, warriors, try to wait for our allies. General Bit had no choice but to convey Pussy's words to every Jianmeng in each warship. The battle has continued until now, at least more than millions of Jianmeng have died, and people have long been exhausted physically and mentally, as if they're about to lose the strength to fight. However, Pussy's words were transmitted intact to the ears of every Jianmeng Empire present, and suddenly those warriors who were just beginning to wither seemed to be blessed with some invisible mysterious power, and their faces were immediately filled with a strong desire to fight. Someone has to cut through the thorns and brambles. I want revenge. Our sacrifices now are for our descendants to no longer be harassed by aliens. Kill them. Morale rose again, but the fighting power did not improve much, and the battle became more and more intense. Although the Jianmeng Empire and every Jianmeng person still have many shortcomings, such as arrogance and love of making trouble, they are fighting the aliens for their families and for the peace of their descendants, so they have to stand up. Even if they die, they have to die in the process of fighting. As time goes by, when the Jianmeng Empire came, more than 1,500 warships crossed the sky, with great momentum, but now half of the warships have been damaged. Probably the only thing that supports them to continue fighting is the illusory belief in their hearts. Chapter 466. Are you angry? Under the starry sky, the warships were still facing each other. After a long time of fighting, the warriors of the Jianmeng Empire had already killed themselves. The hull was damaged. Why panic? Just ram the enemy warships. Even if they died, they had to pull a warship of the trade union with them. This desperate fighting style caused a lot of trouble to the trade union and also frustrated their morale. However, the disadvantages of this fighting style are obvious. It is equivalent to burning one's own life to fight. In a short time, it can create a momentum of who else but me, but once the time is long, it will eventually be wiped out. General Bit said with a heavy face. Report, another of our battleships and the enemy battleships died together. Pussy nodded and said nothing, but in fact his heart was bleeding. It's not that the strength of Jianmeng Empire is not good. The fighting has been going on until now, and the warriors have been very brave. Even facing enemies several times more, the trade union still hasn't gained any advantage until now. It can be seen. It's just that the price is a bit high, and the loss of the battleships is almost more than half. The monitor showed that 2 more warships rushed towards the fleet of the trade union with the belief that they would die. It was not difficult to guess the final outcome. Time was not only passing, but also depriving warships one by one. The number of warships in front of us had been reduced from more than 1,500 when we came to less than 800, and they had also suffered considerable trauma. The number of combatants had been reduced from 22 million when we came to less than 15 million. After a long time, Pussy's voice was hoarse, and he said, Notify everyone, all warships follow that command ship to launch the final charge. When the order was issued, many people were stunned, and then they seemed to understand some truths, that is, war is longer than life, but some things are longer than war. The current war is a struggle for the development and survival of the human race. Many soldiers showed a resolute look on their faces. Everyone knew what this last charge meant, but they did not have any fear. At this moment, the governor of trade seemed to have noticed the intention of the Jianmeng fleet. Want to do the last madness? Sneered. Just a few hundred warships actually wanted to charge, which was simply seeking death. In this case, let's fulfill their stupid human wishes. The governor of trade also immediately issued an order. Try to avoid contact with human warships and use long-range firepower to annihilate them. This is the best way to deal with the Jianmeng fleet. The crazier you are, the less we will fight you head-on. We will only use our own advantages to attack from a distance. The Jianmeng fleet was ready to fight the fleet of the trade union in a close duel with the fleet of the trade union. However, the fleet of the trade union immediately kept a certain distance from the Jianmeng fleet, only using its superior firepower to bombard it from a distance, and never got close to it. Suddenly, the Jianmeng fleet seemed to have punched cotton with a strong punch, causing the fleet to feel extremely uncomfortable. Seeing that the human fleet's attack was frustrated, the governor of trade said proudly, Alas, the more you want to fight at close range, the less we will get close to you. Are you angry? At this moment, in the Jianmeng fleet, General Bit quickly reported, the enemy warships don't fight us in close range. Pussy's face was gloomy, and he said, damn it. Miscalculated. Miscalculated from the beginning. If they fight in close combat, the opponent's advantage in the number of warships will be gone, and the opponent will be afraid of hurting themselves. But once a long-range bombardment is carried out, the advantage in numbers will be fully exerted. In a command ship in the trade union's fleet group, General Bit asked, do we still choose to attack? Pussy said, assault. Regardless of the victory or defeat of this battle, it will be written into the history of mankind. Just when the Jianmeng fleet chose to attack again, the fleet of Azure Star came, and the real power of mankind came. Fleets jumped here one by one. They appeared in all directions of the entire battlefield, and completely blocked the warship group of the Trade Union, one of the main fleets of the M9 Star Zone. Before, the warship group led by the Trade Union had always occupied an absolute advantage in numbers, but now it is different. In terms of quantity, after 5 years of development, this time Azure Star brought more than 7,000 warships. Although Jianmeng Station occupied a part of it and suffered war damage, even so, the number of human fleets that appeared at this moment still exceeded the number of fleets of non-human civilizations. Without any emotion, these warships launched a crazy attack as soon as they appeared, almost refusing to accept any surrender. Attack. Warships from all directions began to attack. Tractor beams and energy rays were fired one after another. In an instant, the warships of the Jianmeng fleet and the Trade Alliance were stunned. Soon, the Jianmeng fleet immediately cheered excitedly. Our people are here. Now it's time for us to counterattack. Revenge for the dead comrades, no warship of the Trade Alliance will be spared. The cheers continued. However, the warships of the Trade Alliance had a completely different atmosphere. After all the warships from the Azure Star arrived, these non-human races were already shocked. Why are there so many warships? What is going on? The original advantage disappeared in the blink of an eye, which made the trade governor frown deeply and said in astonishment, why are there so many? The fleet that just fought was the Azure Star fleet, but now so many suddenly appeared. The trade governor was so confident before, but he mistook the Jianmeng fleet for the total number of warships on the Azure Star. But now he found that he was totally wrong. Judging from the appearance of the warships, these warships that suddenly appeared were definitely not the remnant fleets of the human race. Then there was only one result, these warships were all the power of the Azure Star. What a shocking and terrifying fact. Before, half of their super energy substances were taken away, but who knew that not only did it not restrict their development, but after 5 years, it even broke out with incredible war potential. The trade governor was a little panicked. If it was about bullying the weak, the trade union would definitely have no problem, but if it was a battle of equal strength, it would be over. Because the trade union was not good at war. And the combat effectiveness of the human fleet was off the charts, and the number of warships exceeded their own. The adjutant whispered, should we retreat? The trade governor said, retreat, break through and return to the M9 Star Zone. Their trade union could not do the kind of behavior that humans dared to face life and death, nor would they have that kind of almost crazy morale. So of course they had to retreat now. In layman's terms, the trade union never fought a battle without confidence. Soon the news began to be issued. The dense fleet of warships had already become demoralized. Now that the order to retreat was issued, the huge fleet immediately found a direction to break out. The warships of the trade union immediately left the battle and rushed in this direction. They were ready to open a gap to achieve the purpose of breaking out. Even the governor of trade couldn't help but smile confidently, saying, even if it is blocked from all sides, what can it do? We can still break out easily. Blind confidence is back. Chapter 467. Damn humans are too cunning. However, the direction that the trade union was preparing to break out was actually a flaw that the Azure Star fleet deliberately exposed. The purpose of doing so was to prevent the trade union from jumping off the wall, to prevent the trade union fleet from going too far, and to prevent it from counterattacking. After all, if they were pushed to the limit, the trade union fleet would definitely burst out with unparalleled combat power in extreme desperation, and only by giving them hope of breaking out could they succeed. Then, when the trade union was escaping, they could intercept it. This tactic would be more effective and cause less loss. The trade union excitedly gave the order. Prepared for the assault. They never expected that the human fleet would be so stupid, and at such a good opportunity, they would reveal a flaw and give them an opportunity to take advantage of it. The fleet of the trade union seemed to have seen the hope of survival, and immediately burst out with amazing combat power, and opened a gap to escape. Seeing this, Pussy anxiously urged the commanders of the fleets of Azure Star. Which bastard actually let the trade union fleet run away? The commanders of the fleets of Azure Star said with a dark face. This is a tactic. If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense. Pussy was very anxious. What tactics? The opportunity to annihilate the fleet of the trade union in one fell swoop was let go. Don't worry, we will chase them later. The fleet of the Wang's Empire has been preparing to block the opponent in the dark. This, after some communication, Pussy realized that he might have wronged these allies, but even so, he still didn't want to admit his mistakes, and then said breathlessly, if you hadn't come so late, my losses would not have been so great. Let's talk about it after this battle. Later, the situation on the battlefield changed again. The fleet of the trade union actually broke out from the layers of siege of many fleets of Azure Star easily. Everything went very smoothly, so smoothly that the governor of trade felt a burst of inexplicable confusion. Isn't this too easy? The governor of trade said, pass on my order, speed up the evacuation of this star region to avoid being chased by those damn human fleets. The adjutant immediately reported in a hurry after seeing the display, report, those human fleets are chasing us. The trade union said confidently, don't panic, we have escaped the encirclement, and it's useless to calculate their pursuit now. Although the fleet from the human race began to chase, he was confident enough to escape back to the M9 star region. There, he could summon more warships to destroy the terrifying threat of Azure Star in one fell swoop. Because the fleet of the trade union had the hope of survival, the warships had already lost their fighting spirit and fled in all kinds of ways. Even only a few of their warships launched a counterattack during the rout, but most of the warships were retreating all at once. It was as if the fleet of the trade union had good equipment, but it was a pity that these good equipment were given to the wrong users. If they had a little bit of blood, they would not be chased and beaten like dogs by the human fleet. At this moment, the warships of the trade union didn't care about fighting back. They only had one thought in mind, which was to survive. To survive, they had to escape. This indirectly led to the retreat being out of order, giving the human fleet an opportunity to pursue. Time is running out. From time to time, warships in the warships of the trade union were shot down into space garbage. The human fleet sneered. It's exciting that the opponent is so weak. Spineless things. Those non-human races are just bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Various pursuits continued. The battlefield was almost one-sided. With the sharp decline in the number of warships in the trade union warships, over time, the number of warships of the trade union, which was more than 6,000 warships at the beginning, has been reduced by more than half to less than 3,000 under the pursuit of the human fleet. Even so, the warships of the trade union are still running around. Over time, the trade governor, who had been worried about this, finally breathed a sigh of relief, because it would not take long for them to enter the M9 star zone, and then they would be really safe, and they could also summon more warships. However, just when these non-human races were extremely happy, a wave of waves appeared in the space ahead, and then 300 star destroyers appeared, turning into a solid barrier to block the fleet of the trade union. The trade governor's face suddenly turned pale, and he kept muttering to himself, impossible, there can't be so many. This kind of warship, like a dagger, is almost a nightmare. Especially before, it also shined in the Battle of Azure Star, but now there are so many of them. The Trade Corps immediately figured out the cause and effect of everything in their minds. They were complacent about their self-proclaimed breakthrough, but it turned out that everything was a conspiracy of Azure Star. They deliberately opened a gap to allow the fleet to successfully break through, and the purpose of doing so was to prevent the fleet from bursting out with unparalleled combat power in despair. Suddenly, the governor of trade was extremely annoyed. Damn, these damn humans. It was not a good feeling to fall into a trap, especially a trap set by a weak race like humans. The adjutant couldn't help but worry. What should we do now? Should we break through? The strength of the triangular battleship in front was still vivid in his mind. If he really wanted to break through, it would inevitably cause greater losses, but if he didn't continue to break through, he would also be annihilated. The governor of trade pondered for a few seconds and said decisively, breaking through is the best choice in this situation. As for the desperate fight like the Jianmeng fleet before, the governor of trade never thought about it, because he still wanted to live. As soon as the order came out, The remaining warships of the Trade Union began to break through to the front in the spirit of the bright who survived. Charge, as long as we rush through, we will be safe. One by one, the warships will not only face the pursuit from behind, but also the attack from the front. But the warships of the Trade Union were not afraid at all. They rushed towards the Imperial-class I-type Star Destroyers like moths to a flame, ready to break out of the way. Time was running out, and the two sides began to exchange fire. This time, the warships of the Trade Union may have understood that this was the last hurdle, so they burst out with amazing combat power. Under the dark galaxy, they rushed towards the Star Destroyers like a torrent of steel. Jing Minjiwan shouted excitedly. Good, notify your ships to attack freely, and do not let any enemy ship go. The warships of both sides opened fire. The warships of the Trade Union fired colorful energy rays. However, it was useless. As one of Lin Chen's system rewards, the Star Destroyer was highly evaluated by the system. Layers of energy defense rose up, like a water curtain to dissolve the attacks. Not only that, although these 300 Star Destroyers did not have any advantage in terms of quantity, their performance was better than any warship in the Trade Union warships. They lined up to block the starry sky, and launched an attack with an aggressive momentum, an attack with maximum firepower. In a very short time, the supercharged laser cannons and ion cannons absorbed the energy of the super energy material mana flower and stored energy. Fire. Chapter 468 Destroying the Space Dock. The maximum firepower value from the Imperial-class I-type Star Destroyer was perfectly displayed. Although there were only 300 Star Destroyers on the scene, the momentum they exuded was not weaker than the fleet of the Trade Union, and even surpassed it. Immediately afterwards, energy rays swept towards the fleet of the Trade Union with a force that seemed to tear everything apart. The ships of the Trade Union immediately kept passing orders. Quick, open the energy defensor. The same energy defensor rose up like a water curtain, but it did not block the attack from the Imperial-class I-type Star Destroyer. The moment the energy ray just touched the energy defensor like a water curtain was directly shattered silently, and the energy ray still attacked the hull directly without any reduction. Immediately, many warships were turned into space garbage under the first round of attack by the Wang Zhen fleet. This is a real crushing. Perhaps the strength of a Star Destroyer is not very obvious, but once a Star Destroyer reaches upscale, the power it explodes will be devastating. At this moment, everyone present, even all creatures, have truly felt the true strength of the Imperial-class I-type Star Destroyer. This is the symbol of force and power. The captains of those Star Destroyers have recovered from the shock on their faces and said in disbelief, "So strong." Although they knew that this dagger-shaped battleship was very powerful when they were learning how to drive the Star Destroyer, now that they have seen its true strength with their own eyes, many Star Destroyer captains have realized that they had seriously underestimated the true strength of the Star Destroyer before. The various fleets of the Azure Star are not much stronger than those of the Wang Zhen fleet at this moment. The strength they showed made them almost feel numb. At this moment, the most shocked is the Trade Alliance. Just one round of attack has lost hundreds of battleships. If there are more rounds, won't they be completely wiped out? The Governor of Trade said in annoyance. How is this possible? Hasn't the human race always been destined to be slaughtered at will? How can they have such a powerful battleship? I can't figure it out. According to common sense, such a powerful warship should not belong to the human race. After all, this huge race has always been slaughtered at will because of its slow development. However, now the main fleet of the M9 Star Zone is being beaten by the human race like a dog. It is hard to accept. The adjutant said. The most urgent thing now is to rush over. The trade governor said. Yes, tell all the warships that they will be safe as long as they rush over. As soon as the order was issued, the warships of the Trade Union began to ram into the lined-up Star Destroyers of the Wang Zhen Empire. Fire. The second round of attack also came as scheduled. As time went on, the warships of the Trade Union paid a heavy price and finally broke out and began to flee to the M9 Star Zone. However, the trade governor could not be happy at all, and his heart was bleeding. It's gone just like that. The tone was extremely depressed. When they set out, more than 6,000 warships seemed to be able to destroy everything, but when they returned, there were only dozens of them left. The remaining nearly 6,000 warships were all destroyed in the battle and lost contact. This was a disastrous defeat. The human race dealt a heavy blow to the Trade Union in just this one battle. They already had a strength that could not be underestimated, so they would definitely not give up. At this moment, the fleets of the Azure Star did not choose to cease fire, but were ready to seize this rare opportunity to expand the results of the war. The dozens of warships that chased the trade union all the way were like chasing a dog. In the end, both sides entered the M9 star zone, which was a non-human civilization. The M9 star zone was known to have more than 100 major planets and hundreds of secondary planets. At first, many non-human civilizations in the M9 star zone were waiting for good news. After all, it would be easy for more than 6,000 warships to form the main fleet to destroy a human planet's fleet. However, all non-human civilizations were wrong. After the trade governor fled back with dozens of warships, he also spread the news. The M9 star zone was shocked. One of the proud main fleets was actually wiped out by the human fleet. And it was chased into the M9 star zone. Go to the dock and drive the warships. Quick, quick. Damn it, how come those lowly humans came so suddenly? We must not let the human fleet discover our dock, otherwise it will be over. Quickly gather the other main fleets back. The M9 star zone was immediately in a panic. The space dock is the most important place for all civilizations in the M9 star zone, without a doubt. Because all the warships of various civilizations are parked there. If those space docks are discovered by the human fleet, I'm afraid that the human fleet will really succeed in stealing the home. This can only be said to be the result of the arrogance of these non-human races. At this moment, the fleet of Azure Star stopped chasing immediately after entering the M9 star zone. This is the nest of non-human races, and the human forces of Azure Star dare not be careless. However, they soon formulated a brilliant plan. It can be estimated that the number of warships in this entire star zone is absolutely a terrifying number. Because everything came too suddenly, the non-human races have not yet reacted and have not had time to drive the warships, so now they must destroy all the places where spaceships and warships are built here in the shortest time. Destroy all the places in the M9 star zone where warships can be built and parked at all costs to ensure victory in this war. This is almost the same idea of many commanders. As long as we have absolute superiority, the final victory will definitely belong to the human side. The fleets of the Azure Star split into 4 directions, and took advantage of the fact that the races in this star zone have not had time to drive the warships, and first destroyed all the places where they built and parked warships. Space docks are easy to find. They are usually near the planet. Some human fleets followed the transport ships of non-human races all the way over, and some directly rushed into a certain planet to torture and interrogate intelligence. In short, now is a race against time. We must blow up all the warships while they are not yet driven. Time is running out, and space docks are found one by one under the starry sky. It's a dock. My god, there are so many warships. Quick, blow up the docks quickly, and don't let those aliens drive the warships. Space docks were blown up one by one. In a short period of time, the fleet of Azure Star almost became a rampant existence in this star region. No force could compete with it. Even if there were 1 or 2 warships that had just been successfully piloted, they were quickly destroyed on the spot. However, the scope of this M9 star region is very large, and there are many non-human races. It is obviously impossible for the human fleet of Azure Star to blow up all the space in a short period of time. As time goes by, although most of the space docks were blown up, there are still a few docks that were lucky enough not to be blown up, and all the warships have taken off, and finally gathered into a fleet of more than 20,000 warships, which are constantly searching for the human fleet of Azure Star under the starry sky. In addition, the M9 star region also notified the 3 main fleets in the depths of the starry sky to return. It seems that the trouble of Azure Star will be eliminated forever. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 469 We Surrender. Such a strong strength is the foundation that a star region should have. Just like the foundation of the M9 star region, even if the fleet of Azure Star sneaks in, it has a certain advantage and bombs most of the space docks. But even so, the M9 star region can still take out more than 20,000 warships, and there are fleets in the depths of the starry sky on the way back. With such a strong foundation, the Azure Star fleet, which has less than 7,000 warships at the moment, still feels deeply powerless. At present, the human fleet that is alone and deep in the enemy's lair has a difficult problem. Should we withdraw or continue to fight? A video conference was held. At the meeting, Pussy maintained his usual overlord-level confidence, as if he didn't care about the previous losses at all. he said confidently. We want to withdraw, but the other side will not let us withdraw easily, so we have to fight, concentrate our superior warships to wipe out all the enemy warships in this star zone first. I learned from the torture of Inner 6 that the other side has 3 main fleets with more than 10,000 ships on their way back from the depths of the starry sky. Everyone in the video conference couldn't help but worry about a battle. In other words, they have to fight with less than 7,000 warships and more than 30,000 warships. It's a bit difficult. In fact, we also have a chance of winning. We can't compare with the other side in terms of quantity, but our combat effectiveness is strong, not to mention that we should have a considerable number of newly built warships on the Azure Star. Someone proposed, and immediately received many approvals. Strong combat effectiveness has been verified by facts. Often one fights two and does not fall behind, not to mention that our side also has support. It doesn't seem to be a situation where we are bound to lose. As long as the 20,000 enemy warships are wiped out first, and then the 3 fleets that have rushed back are freed up, the M9 star region will be dominated by the human race in the future. Okay, fight. The opportunity cannot be missed. I suggest that we take advantage of the fact that the 3 main enemy fleets have not returned yet and seize the time to wipe out the 20,000 warships first. Later, after the video conference ended, a brave battle plan was also drawn up. A battle with the Trade Alliance, oh, no, the entire M9 star region, will determine the outcome of the battle. Then, the human fleets in various parts of the M9 star region gathered towards a planet. The battleship group in the M9 star region also received the news. After calculation, the human fleet will finally gather near a planet called Terra. It's just right. Since everyone has gathered together, let's wipe out all these hateful humans. The non-human races in the M9 star region can be said to be extremely hateful to the human race. A race that can be slaughtered that will actually came to the M9 star zone to steal a home, blowing up most of the space docks, and turning countless warships into cosmic garbage. How can this practice and this behavior not annoy these non-human races that have always been high and mighty? As time went on, the warships of both sides gathered near the planet Terra. Finally, the Battle of Terra broke out. All the human fleets gathered here. This is an opportunity for the human race to avenge their shame, and it is also a necessary step for the external expansion of the Azure Star. There are nearly 30,000 warships of all sizes on both sides. Almost in the galaxy where the planet Terra is located, there are warships confronting each other. Wait, once the war starts, attack freely. Kill all those hateful humans. Both sides of the war wanted to kill each other. The confrontation in the galaxy lasted for a full 10 hours before the battle officially began. At the beginning of the battle, both sides fought back and forth, and it was difficult to tell them apart. Shoot. Open energy and defensa. The hatred between the two sides of the war was irreconcilable, and both wanted to kill each other. However, as time went by, the human fleet gradually gained the upper hand, and its combat power was not comparable to that of these non-human races. If it were not for the advantage in numbers, the 20,000 plus warships might have been defeated long ago. The human fleet was constantly dividing the battlefield, using the performance of the warships to continuously erode the opponent. With the blessing of combat power, its speed and offensive was so fast that it almost exceeded the imagination of all non-human races. The Queen of the Tentacles shouted in disbelief. This is absolutely impossible, the human race cannot be so strong. Why is our combat power so poor? Damn it, I regret not destroying the Azure Star, which led to this disaster. The faces of the 6 governors of the trade union were as gloomy as water, because the situation on the battlefield accelerated the outcome of the victory or defeat. The galaxy troops and the Xinhua Star fleet crossed to cover like a millstone, slowly strangling the enemy ships one by one. The strength of the Jianmeng fleet, which had not been through a truce, should not be underestimated. The joint fleet led by the British Sun Alliance also achieved brilliant results. At this moment, the most dazzling battle in the entire galaxy is the fleet of the Wangxi Empire composed of star destroyers and assault ships. The performance of the assault ships is not ordinary, but it is obviously much less brilliant under the glory of the star destroyers. These 300 star destroyers seem to have turned into 300 sharp daggers, constantly harvesting any enemy ship on the battlefield. Lin Chen gave an order. Deploy the 10th Wing Fighters. Tens of thousands of X-Wing fighters appeared. These fighters have super high performance and can also roam the entire battlefield with these performances. Although it is almost impossible for an X-Wing fighter to hunt a large ship, once the number becomes large, these extremely fast fighters will turn into a group of locusts and can destroy any large enemy ship through intensive attacks. This battle can be said to be a dark battle. After a long time, warships were beaten into ruins from time to time, and the situation became clearer and clearer. The battleships in the M9 star zone were completely at a disadvantage. As time went on, the battle had lasted for more than 70 hours, that is, 3 days and 3 nights. During this period, the warships of the M9 star region had been almost destroyed by more than half, and what was even more terrible was that some people actually fled to avoid the battle. On the other hand, the human side also suffered heavy losses. Nearly half of the more than 7,000 warships that came with them had been destroyed, and even many of the powerful Imperial-class I-type star destroyers were destroyed. Even so, although the human side did not have the upper hand in terms of numbers, its combat effectiveness still occupied the initiative on the battlefield. A trade governor said with a pale face, "It's over, we lost." The battle was almost concluded, at least before the 3 main fleets rushed back. But after rushing back, what would be the use at the time? It has become a fact that the M9 star region has been severely damaged by the Azure Star. Another trade governor said, "How about we surrender in exchange for a short period of peace to delay time? Will the other party agree? Try to contact them first." These non-human civilizations quickly reached a consensus to delay time as much as possible by means of false surrender, and win over the 3 main fleets rushing back from the depths of the starry sky. Soon a message was sent to the human fleet. After deciphering the language, it was found that this was a consensus reached by the top leaders of the M9 star zone, which proposed peace and asked both sides to cease fire, which was a kind of surrender. After a brief discussion, the human side gladly accepted this request and made a request. "We can accept your surrender, but you must disarm all your weapons." Chapter 470 Major Discovery. Accepting the surrender of these non-human civilizations is the best option at the moment. After all, for the fleet of Azure Star, there are still 3 main fleets in the M9 star zone that may come back at any time. At the time, there will be almost no suspense in losing the hard-won results now. However, all the premises for accepting the other party's surrender are based on these non-human civilizations laying down all their weapons. However, as soon as the side responded, it was immediately strongly protested by the non-human civilization. This is impossible. Laying down all weapons is equivalent to handing over your own destiny to humans, and life and death depends on the other party's face. Such a stupid behavior will naturally be agreed by the non-human races in the M9 star zone. The human side responded very straightforwardly. Then continue to fight. In short, the threatening non-human races cannot be left. After a hard battle, it took 30 hours for the human fleet to completely destroy the warships in the M9 star zone. What trade governors and what tentacle queens unwillingly turned into space garbage along with the warships. Of course, the human fleet after the hard battle was not easy. Although this decisive battle laid the foundation for humans to dominate this non-human civilization star zone, it also created a sharp increase of more than 7,000 warships. Thinking that there are still 3 main fleets of non-human races who don't know when they will return, almost everyone has a headache. Now most of these remaining warships are scarred and can't withstand any big battle. What should we do? Should we retreat? The warships we have built in succession on the Azure Star are on the way to support, and they should be able to support a battle. In the end, these warships did not choose to retreat. You know, these days, the warships belonging to the human camp are almost out in full force, but there are still several arsenals on the Azure Star that are vigorously building warships. These days, perhaps the Azure Star has not built a large-scale warship, but it should be able to provide a batch of support warships to provide the next combat supplement. However, after a period of waiting, what came was not support from the Azure Star, but the wandering fleets hiding in the depths of the starry sky. These wandering fleets sent a distress signal to the Azure Star fleet. The content of the signal was that they were fighting fiercely with the 3 main fleets of the M9 star zone and requested assistance. All the truth was revealed. It turned out that the Azure Star and its 2 little brothers were not fighting alone. The reason why that Jura planet completely wiped out the M9 star zone warship group was not because their 3 main warships did not return to support in time. It was because those wandering fleets belonging to humans hidden in the depths of the starry sky were behind the Azure Star and hindered the last 3 fleets of the non-human race from returning to support. In the face of this racial war, humans showed the same camp and jointly hated all non-human races. At present, it was heard that those wandering fleets of humans hiding in the depths of the starry sky once again stepped forward to help the human fleet of the Azure Star. It would be a lie to say that they dared not move or were not excited. This was a kind of joy of being recognized. Suddenly, this fleet that had just experienced a war chose not to stand idly by without any rest. Go to support those human fleets that helped us. As soon as the order came out, one warship after another sailed towards the vast sea of stars. After a not so long interstellar jump, they arrived at the place where the signal was sent, a vast starry sky without any objects. At this moment, more than 20 human fleets represent more than 20 human planets that have been captured by non-human races. Now they are not idle in the M9 star zone of Azure Star. Almost without any contact, they took the initiative to block the last 3 main fleets of the M9 star zone for Azure Star. After the war, these human wandering fleets came out in full force, and the number of warships has been reduced from 4,000 to more than half. If there is no support, it will inevitably be wiped out. However, the battleship group composed of several fleets of Azure Star is coming. We're here. Without too much greetings, the battleship group of Azure Star joined the battle at the first time and resolved the wandering fleet of humans. The war was about to break out again. Energy rays emerged one after another. As time went on, both sides were already red-eyed. Even the last 3 fleets of the M9 star zone broke out with super compact power, which caused a lot of trouble to the human side for a while. One warship after another was destroyed or severely damaged. The cruelty of the battlefield was beyond imagination. Perhaps because of the decisive battle, this battle lasted for more than 50 hours. After a long time, the last warship in the M9 star zone was turned into space garbage by concentrated fire. Humanity has won. The human race has changed the fate of being slaughtered by other races at will. It has used various tactics to successfully eliminate all the combat forces in the M9 star zone that can enter space. From then on, there will be no threat to human forces in space. Those wandering fleets cheered. Great, finally all the warships have been destroyed. Excited. There are many wandering fleets that have been wandering for more than hundreds of years. Just because their planet was once occupied by a powerful non-human race, but now, the warships of the powerful non-human race have been completely destroyed. This not only means that the war has not stopped, but also means that they will take back everything they have lost. Time is running out. This time, the Azure Star Fleet and the human wandering fleet entered the M9 star zone with dignity. At this moment, they are the masters of this star region and the symbol of invincibility. As long as they firmly occupy the space rights, no matter how powerful the non-human races are, human warships can carry out precise strikes from space at any place and at any time. We are going to take back our homeland. The fleet soon dispersed throughout the M9 star region. The invasion began. Not only did the wandering fleets of humans want to take back their lost homes, but the fleets of the Azure Star also wanted to invade and occupy the planets of non-human races one by one, so as to achieve endless resources for development. As time went on, the various fleets of humans made great progress in the elimination of non-human races. After all, space now belongs to humans. Regardless of the number and equipment of non-human races on the ground, they could not withstand the precise strikes from space. Here, the invasion of the non-human race planets by the Wang's Empire also progressed well. 5 non-human race planets were invaded at the same time. If it were not for the existence of space weapons, it might still be so fast, but it was precisely because the M9 star region had lost all its warships that the Wang's Empire did not feel any threat. After a long time, the Wang's Empire once again opened up a new planet for invasion and occupation, which belonged to the Trade Alliance. It is reported that the entire planet is mainly based on trade, and in ancient times, it was still a planet belonging to humans. The landing ship in the Star Destroyer carrying the Empire's soldiers had just entered the planet not long ago. Before they had time to expand the territory and make achievements, a captain of the Marine Corps sent a call request. After the request was connected, the captain's voice was trembling, as if he was seriously shocked. He said incoherently, "There is a major discovery, request to access the highest level." The call request was soon connected to Lin Chen. Lin Chen asked puzzledly, "What's the situation?" Chapter 471 Meat Factory. There really is no planet that can cause the Marine Corps to feel difficult. Because they can call for space support from any human warship at any time and at any place, but now it seems that they have encountered something difficult. Even their speech is changing, which is very strange. The Marine Corps captain who contacted Lin Chen continued with a trembling voice. "This is a trading planet. What they sell is. They treat humans as pork in our rice and sell them. Lin Chen immediately realized the seriousness of the problem. Treating humans as port for sale. This is definitely the most hateful planet. Under the guise of a trading planet, they are actually selling human flesh. This kind of planet is definitely rare even in the entire N9 zone. Although the non-human races here can slaughter humans at will, most of them use humans as slaves. Okay, I will enter the planet right away to check. Lin Chen hung up that call and took a few soldiers directly into the landing ship and flew to the planet. In fact, Lin Chen seriously underestimated the cruelty of these non-human races to the human race. Because this is just the prelude to conquering non-human races, there are not many such cruel things. After a long time, when more planets are conquered, we will probably understand what role the human race plays in the M9 zone. Time is running out. Lin Chen entered the planet and followed the signal mark to a marine brigade with 200 people. Take me to sea. It's in the market ahead. Because we destroyed the warships in this star zone, most of the natives of this planet are civilians and have hidden back in their homes. On the way, the captain reported a lot of situations to Lin Chen. For example, the civilians on this planet have hidden now, and they seem to be very afraid of humans. The market is not far away. Before entering the market, the captain asked Lin Chen whether he had prepared himself. Lin Chen said confidently, "Don't worry, I have seen all kinds of big scenes." However, as soon as he officially entered this trade market, Lin Chen's steps paused, his body completely froze, and his whole body was shaking. Even the Marines who had entered here before were not much better off than Lin Chen, all with faces full of pain. Lin Chen was speaking incoherently. Now he understood why the Marine captain's voice was trembling before, and why he said that humans were treated as pork. At the intersection of the sites, there were human flesh with clearly marked prices. Human heads were put together for centralized sale, palms were piled up like mountains, and so on. In short, the various organs of the human body were classified and sold. At a glance, almost at the end of the site there was a similar picture. In the human world, this kind of situation is very common, but that was pork, and here it was people. The scene can only be described as shocking. The captain was silent for a moment, and said in a low voice, "We were also shocked when we first came here. This is not a market at all, but purgatory." Lin Chen said, "It seems that those non-human races have never left humans alive. Is there anything else on this planet?" "Yes, we captured a native here before. It is reported that this planet is a planet of the trade union. There are many planets like this under the jurisdiction of the trade union." Lin Chen asked again, "Are there any living people?" The captain of the Marine Corps was shocked and said nervously, "We have not yet obtained more information about this planet." Lin Chen glanced at him coldly. The captain of the Marine Corps felt cold all over, as if he had been stared at by a fierce beast. A chill ran straight from his heart to his head. "I'll do it right away." Later, the captain gave an order. "Come on, I don't care what method you use, capture some natives here in the shortest time." "Yes." Many Marines dispersed. The captain said to Lin Chen again, "How to solve this problem?" It is a difficult problem whether to bury or burn the human body parts that are being sold wholesale. Lin Chen said, "Wait a minute." Then, he contacted many fleets and notified them to come to this planet for a meeting to discuss the next plan. The message was quickly conveyed. Many people were a little surprised by the news of the meeting. The next plan? Of course, it was to forcefully occupy the entire N9 zone. However, many commanders still chose to hold a meeting. After all, the war had lasted until now, and everyone really needed to meet once. The first person to arrive at Lin Chen's planet was Jiangmen. As soon as he entered this market, with a thump, his legs knelt directly on the ground. What he saw was a bloody scene. The numerous evil deeds committed by those alien creatures are too numerous to list. They actually sold people as pork. Lin Chen and the captain of the Marine Corps saw Jiangmen kneeling on the ground, and immediately helped him up in a hurry. "Is this the reason for calling me here?" Jiangmen eyes were red and his voice was trembling. Although the Blue Star and the humans who died tragically on this planet have nothing to do with each other, the humans on the two planets are of the same race. No one can say that humans of the same race can remain indifferent when being sold like pigs. Lin Chen said, "Well, I think we may be too kind to those alien creatures." Recently, the human fleet began to invade the planets in the M9 zone on a large scale. Although there were also large-scale massacres of alien creatures, they did not kill them all. But now, the miserable fate of the same kind is in front of us. Should we be kind to those alien creatures again? No. Those dead souls will not agree. Jiang Minjiwan nodded heavily. Time is running out, and a group of Marines brought back some natives of this planet. There are two races of natives on this planet, one is human, and the other is civilians of the trade union. Civilians of the trade union are also humanoid creatures, with legs, feet and other body organs, but this race is very different from humans. They have greyish-white skin all over their bodies, and their appearance is rather casual. Judging by human aesthetics, they are extremely ugly. Report, a total of 6 civilians from the trade union have been captured. Beat them, and tell them everything they know. The Marines didn't waste any words, and directly pressed the 6 civilians from the trade union to the ground and beat them hard, making them wail non-stop. Faced with this almost ruthless torture, the 6 civilians from the trade union quickly revealed all the information they knew. All planets ruled by the trade union are raising humans, and there are special areas for division. The trade union will put aphrodisiac ingredients in the food during the feeding period to ensure that the human race reproduces in large numbers and becomes a creature that can only mate and reproduce. When the number reaches a certain scale, it will be harvested regularly. The fresh meat of the human race is delicious and is the top meat for many biological races in the M9 star zone. The meat factory exists to supply the flesh and blood of the human race to the outside world. Another round of torture, the 6 civilians from the trade union were beaten almost to death. Chapter 472. Kill, no one left alive. Facing these civilians from the trade union, the faces of several humans present, including Lin Chen, have turned gloomy. No one had expected that the fate of the human race would be so miserable. This meant that the human race was living worse than animals in the trade union and even in the entire M9 star zone. No wonder these non-human races always said that humans were destined to be slaughtered at will. Jiang Minjiwan said coldly, "Kill them all." At this moment, all non-human races were not worth dying for. The 6 civilians from the trade union were horrified. They couldn't understand. These delicacies that were once in their mouths had turned into successful counterattacks. There was no begging for mercy, because begging for mercy now would not give them any chance of survival. This was a deadly feud, and there was almost no way to resolve the conflict between the human race and the non-human races. Otherwise, how could the tens of trillions of human souls rest in peace? Bang, 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 a few gunshots. The 6 civilians from the trade union fell to the ground. Lin Chen looked at Jiang Minjiwan, whose face was livid with anger, and asked, "Uncle, what should we do?" Jiang Minjiwan panted and said, "When everyone is here and has seen the numerous evil deeds here, let's burn them. We have no other choice." The dismembered bodies that were sold were indeed a headache. At the moment, burning them to ashes might be the best way. There was not much time. Landing ships arrived on this planet one after another. The commanders of this war were all the leaders of the Azure Star or the Federation Star. When they heard that there was going to be a meeting, they immediately rushed here. However, when these leaders of various human forces arrived here, their expressions, which were still talking and laughing before, were all like being struck by lightning. This is taking the human race and selling them as pork. Pussy knelt on the ground with red eyes, looking like a madman, and shouted miserably, I swear I will not be a human if I don't avenge this. This is the affection and bond between the same race. The heads, hands, feet, hearts and other human bodies were piled up alive, which made many of the leaders who had just arrived feel heartbroken. I understand. They understand why the Wangzhe Empire had to place the meeting here. They wanted everyone to see what crimes the non-human races in the M9 star zone had committed against the human race. This is a mortal feud, an irreconcilable mortal feud. Lin Chen and Jiang Minjiwan were much calmer. After all, these people had experienced it before, and the pain in their hearts gradually eased. Pussy's eyes revealed murderous intent, and he said, "I will notify the war correspondents to record what happened here and send it back to the Blue Star. Let the people in my hometown understand the cruelty of the vast galaxy. If you don't want to die, your hands must be stained with the blood of other biological races. Forgetting war will lead to danger." Soon, many war correspondents arrived. While they were holding back their inner turmoil to film the scene and record the evil deeds of non-human races, many leaders also discussed how to treat non-human races in the future. Kill, leave no one alive. In short, all non-human races have no need to continue to live. Later, the discussion was over. The content was very simple, and what had to be done was to fight back. No matter what action was taken, it was all about how to slaughter non-human races. Whether it was dropping a nuclear bomb or a space strike, the non-human races must be slaughtered cleanly to ensure the status of the human race. The next day, the revenge from the human race began. They would exterminate all non-human creatures in the M9 star zone. Perhaps many years later, these humans who participated in the action would be branded as indiscriminate killers, but have you ever thought about why the human race slaughtered non-human races on such a large scale? Try to save our people. Yes. For forces such as Azure Star, weapons of mass destruction were not used directly, because there are still many humans on each planet, and at least the safety of the people must be ensured. As an advanced civilization, planets such as Azure Star can choose to ignore the development of humans, but they will not ignore the life and death of humans. Landing ships carrying many combat troops were sent to various planets to launch a genocide plan against non-human races. Among them, the Wang's Empire was launching a cleanup operation on a planet of the Trade Union. Don't let any civilians of the Trade Union go. The ground combat troops received an order as soon as they entered the planet. Soon, the ground troops began to launch a cleanup operation against the non-human races on this planet. DA 2, there was no mercy or kindness. Under the influence of hatred, the ruthless guns and cannons killed a large number of trade unions. Even the ground troops of the trade union did not play any role, and they were destroyed and defeated under the powerful firepower of the Wangxian Empire. Boom, another city was captured. The tanks of the Empire were like a torrent of steel, sweeping across the land without stopping. In the sky, Mechas and X-Wing fighters swept everything. There was no mercy at all. They were madly slaughtering all non-human races they could see. The civilians of the Trade Union, who were once high and mighty, and the non-human races, as long as they did not look like humans, they would all be slaughtered. In front of them were countless civilians of the Trade Union, like headless flies, running madly without a goal. Run, the human race is here for revenge. Why shouldn't the human race be our food? Why are they raising their butcher knives against us now? Woo, I wouldn't have eaten human flesh if I had known, even though women's flesh is very tender and delicious. Damn it, are humans going to kill us all? The civilians of the Trade Union screamed in fear, and the whole planet was in a state of chaos. These human ground forces that entered this planet didn't care who you were. As long as you didn't look like a human, they would ruthlessly raise their butcher knives and kill everything. They had no mercy at all. Even pregnant women of non-human races would be mercilessly shot to death. It can be said that wherever these humans passed, no grass would grow, and no non-human race could survive. Large tracts of non-human races on this planet died tragically, and the blood dyed the entire earth red. The air was filled with the smell of blood, which even surpassed the smell of gunpowder. At this moment, the ground forces on the human side were not in a hurry to chase the civilians of the Trade Union who were running for their lives, but slowly advanced behind them like a net. Under this net-like sweep, almost no non-human race could escape by chance, and there was no chance to avoid the fate of being shot next. Soldiers on more than a dozen tanks held the heat imager in their hands and kept patrolling the thermal sensors in the building. Suddenly, an inconspicuous building came into view. Through the heat imager, it was found that there were thermal sensors inside, and the number was not small. This must be the civilians of the Trade Union hiding in that building. A soldier shouted, "There are civilians from the Trade Federation hiding in the yellow building on the left." The muzzles of several tanks flashed a freezing cold light under the sunlight, and then began to slowly turn, aiming at the inconspicuous yellow building. Chapter 473. The despicable human race. No non-human race can escape the fate of being slaughtered, not today, and not in the future. The human race must return all hatred to these extremely ugly non-human races. Several tanks have been loaded and can be fired at any time to blow the yellow inconspicuous building into slag. Fire. Boom, several shells were fired and hit the building where the civilians of the Trade Union were hiding in a very short time and collapsed. Boom, the huge smoke and dust rose instantly. Using the warm imaging device again, it was found that the thermal induction in the ruins had begun to gradually cool and lose the color of its heat emission. Such things happened not only on the planet that the Wang's Empire was invading. Almost all human forces from the Blue Star were also using different methods to perform the act of slaughtering non-human races. The Jianmeng Empire deployed dozens of dangerous wanderers, and their huge bodies were chasing and killing non-human races. This feeling is like a giant chasing a group of small ants and stomping on them. Bang, bang, go to hell, you guys are smashed. The driver of a dangerous ranger showed a cruel smile on his face, and then the dangerous ranger leaped forward and smashed to the ground. Boom, large tracts of non-human races were trampled into bloody mud. Do it again. Doing this, the human warriors did not feel any guilt, but only the joy of revenge. The Japanese tribal alliance was even more ruthless, and began to drop nuclear bombs. The creatures on the entire planet were tortured by them and suffered from nuclear strikes almost every day. There are many other ways to kill non-human races. As time went on, the number of non-human races in the M9 star zone dropped sharply to a terrifying number. Even so, the human side who came for revenge still had no mercy and continued to attack every day. Run, those humans are coming again. I, the queen of the dog-headed people, failed to seduce them. What do those humans want? They are not cold robots. They are indifferent to all kinds of seductions and only to massacres. I can't stand this kind of life. I want to leave this star zone under the cover of night. These non-human races are scared. In the eyes of these non-human races, their status has changed, and even those humans who used to be food are cold and ruthless. They can't figure it out. Don't these humans have desires? Seduction doesn't work. Material seduction doesn't work. In short, these non-human races have used all the temptations they can think of on the human race, and the result is undoubtedly a beating from reality. In the end, they had no choice but to hold a peace talk with the top leaders of the human race. As long as they can gain a certain amount of peacetime. These non-human races have full confidence that they can develop a large fleet of space battleships again in the shortest time. Although many of their fortifications were destroyed by humans, their foundations after a long period of development are still there, and these foundations are enough to destroy these hateful humans. At the time, they will treat humans even more harshly. Hearing that non-human civilizations are forced to have a peace talk with humans, the wandering fleets from the Azure Star and those who have just regained their homes all sneered. Is a peace talk necessary? In this case, why not just catch all the queens of the non-human races? The peace talk was held soon. The initiator of the meeting was the last surviving trade governor of the trade union. At the talk, the non-human races did not have any strong words or deeds, which fully demonstrated the purpose of coming here. We ask for peace, and the period of peace is 50 years. We deeply sympathize with the suffering of the human race, and we will pay corresponding compensation for this. The human side has an attitude of winning. What about 50 years later? 50 years later. The non-human races were stunned. Of course, 50 years later, we will counterattack and destroy humans. However, they did not dare to say this openly, because if the talks failed, the other party would continue to kill until all races except the human race were extinct. The human laughed coldly and said, after 50 years of development, I think your space battleships will be large-scale again. These tricks of non-human races have long been played out on the Azure Star. It is nothing more than delaying the remaining time and waiting for an opportunity to counterattack. The conspiracy was exposed. The faces of the high-level non-human races changed again and again. Okay, we all know your conditions for peace. Unless you can be eliminated from the universe, peace will never come. In that case, then goodbye, but I want to tell you something, it is best not to do things too radically, because the vast starry sky will not allow you humans to become big among the races. Many non-human races showed resentment on their faces. Now, they hope that the human race's occupation of the M9 star zone will attract widespread attention from other star zones. At the time, perhaps the races in other star zones will put pressure on the human race. Lin Chen's expression was indifferent, and he smiled. Wait, did I tell you to leave? Many non-human race leaders who came here were all shocked. At a glance, you can see that everyone here has an obvious teasing on their faces. What do you want? The worry in my heart became more and more obvious. Suddenly, I felt that I had taken the initiative to get into the wolf's den. I just don't want you to leave. We humans have sworn enemies with you, so of course we have to kill you. Two countries at war don't kill envoys. Do you humans want to ignore your own image? The image is only written by the victor. The high-level officials of many non-human races were so angry that their faces turned red and they shouted, "You have no martial ethics. You brought this upon yourself, so you can't blame us." What a despicable and shameless human race. Many humans still smiled at the furious high-level officials of non-human races. Why didn't they kill them with such a good opportunity? Later, the entire venue was immediately controlled by the military forces of Azure Star, and finally all the non-human races present were shot with guns. On this day, the non-human races in the M9 star zone were completely shrouded in an atmosphere of despair. Because their high-level officials went to negotiate with humans, but were killed by humans. The despicable and shameless human race, this race is not worthy of appearing in the universe. I have never seen such a shameless race. It's over, we're really finished this time. Labels such as despicable and shameless were added to every human. The behavior of killing hostile forces during negotiations is rare in the universe. However, there are also benefits to doing so, that is, after losing the leadership, each non-human race has become a piece of loose sand without any organization. In any case, it has become a foregone conclusion that the human race will kill the high-level non-human races during the negotiations. As time goes by, 5 years have passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, the human race has never stopped slaughtering the non-human race, and it seems that all dangers have been eradicated. Even the non-human races that have just been born have not escaped the fate of being shot. Chapter 474. The powerful Protoss go to mediate the dispute. The purpose of killing non-human races is actually very simple. It is not only to avenge the dead humans, but also to eliminate all races that can threaten humans. The human race has been unstoppable in every planet in the M9 star zone, and this has also caused countless tragic deaths of non-human races. Under such a long-term slaughter, the number of non-human races in the M9 star zone has dropped sharply. If no other forces intervene, it will only take a short time for the non-human races in the M9 star zone to be slaughtered. Therefore, coupled with the instigation of certain races in the dark, what happened in the M9 star zone soon attracted widespread attention from other star zones. When they first heard about the changes in the M9 star zone, countless races and forces in the M7 and M8 star zones were deeply stunned, and then a sense of crisis swept over them. Impossible, isn't the human race a carnivorous race? Human meat is quite delicious. This is the first time I heard that food would resist. It seems that we can't just sit back and watch. The human race has gradually threatened the status of biological races in other star zones. For various reasons, the fate of the human race is exactly the same as that of other star regions. They are all creatures that are reduced to being raised and will eventually be sent to the table. But now, in the barren M10 star region, there is actually a force of the human race, which suddenly conquered the M9 star region by force. How can we remain indifferent? In the past, the human race only had a huge number and did not pose any threat at all. But now that the 2-star regions have fallen into the hands of the human race, then with the human race's numerical advantage and now the technological advantage, if it is not stopped, it will definitely become the third top power in the Andromeda galaxy. No, the human race must be stopped, otherwise we will be liquidated in the future. The non-human races in the 2-star regions made the same voice. They want to put pressure on the human race in the M9 star region to force the human race there to stop killing non-human races. Only in this way can we ensure that the human race will be restricted in its development. But putting pressure is another problem. In the process of exerting pressure, they will also burn themselves and be forced to start a war. Finally, after continuous consultations, the non-human races in the 2-star regions sent powerful fleets to the M6 star region. In the M6 star region, there is the Protoss. As one of the 2 top forces in the Andromeda galaxy, it is almost a super ancient race. And the Protoss has always been known as the Protoss who uphold the rules of the universe. In this case, the human race is already destroying the order of the universe. Can the Protoss remain indifferent? Undoubtedly, as long as the Protoss is persuaded, it should not be a big problem to force the human race that is killing in the M9 star region to stop with its powerful strength. For a long time, the non-human races in the 2-star regions each sent a highly combat-capable fleet to the depths of the starry sky. Along the way, the 2 fleets shuttled through countless star systems in the vast starry sky, crossed countless buffer zones, and finally officially entered the M1 star region. At the same time, the 2 fleets immediately became cautious, because they had entered the sphere of influence of the most powerful Protoss in the Andromeda galaxy. There are 10 star regions in the Andromeda galaxy. In addition to the barren M10 star region, the M1 to 6 star regions are the sphere of influence of the Protoss and the Zerg. As for how strong the Protoss are, these non-human races have experienced it firsthand. The Protoss's Templars can even tear up landing ships with their bare hands. In short, the Protoss is the most powerful force in the Andromeda galaxy, and it is absolutely well deserved. The 2 fleets quickly stated their intentions in the star region, and then left immediately after reporting the situation. The news about the human race immediately began to spread on every planet of the Protoss. At first, the Protoss didn't react. Did they hear it wrong? The weak human race can actually beat other races. Is it true? Therefore, the Supreme Council composed of multiple Protoss tribes also held a meeting on this. It is reported that a human force is about to rule the M9 star zone and is slaughtering other races in the star zone. If no other forces intervene, it is very likely that many races in the universe will become extinct. As Protoss, we should maintain the order of the universe and stop those human races. The problem is that we have been fighting against the Zerg for a long time and have no time to care about other things. What if the human race does not listen to advice and goes to war with us? Why not send a consul? It seems that we have to hurry up to do archaeology. The Protoss are not worried about the human race. After all, there are a large number of human races living in the Star Zone under their jurisdiction. Instead, they are worried that the human race who is slaughtering in the M9 Star Zone will be blinded by hatred, causing the human race to snowball and grow bigger and bigger. Finally, during the war between the Protoss and the Zerg, they will annex every human planet in the Star Zone in one fell swoop. In the end, the Protoss decided to send Arbitrator Arpnes to lead a fleet to resolve this dispute in the M9 Star Zone. Arbitrator Arpnes is a young Protoss. Although he was only 262 years old, he had already begun to shoulder important military responsibilities. He looked down on the human race and thought that the human race was weak, but this time the mission had changed his mind because the human race was quietly rising. At present, he had to change his inner view. So he decided to lead the non-human races in the 2-star regions of M78 to suppress the human race. As time went by, not long after the Protoss Arbitrator Arpnes fleet entered the 2-star regions of M78, it easily led out 2 fleets of non-human civilizations. The 3 fleets sailed towards the M9 star region. Along the way, Arbitrator Arpnes was full of confidence. The human race was strong, but he never thought that under the interference of the Protoss, the human race would still wantonly slaughter other races. I can't believe it. Arbitrator Arpnes said to himself. His words were full of disbelief. As we all know, the human race is a large race in the vast universe, with a wide distribution, but its strength has never been very good. But now human forces emerged from the desolate M10 star zone and destroyed the M9 star zone. Unbelievable. This kind of feat, even if it is the Protoss, it will take a lot of trouble to conquer a star zone. A Templar said. Arbitrator, I think it may be okay to let the human race develop. The biggest enemy of our Protoss and even the life races in the universe is those damned bugs. Protoss Arbitrator Arpnes remained silent. The Protoss and the human race do not have much hatred. On the contrary, the Protoss Akira tribe has been protecting the human race's planet. It seems to be a very pleasant thing to unite to fight against the Zerg. However, the human race has just begun to show its edge, and it is still unknown whether the human race is willing to fight against the Zerg under the leadership of the Protoss. What's more, as the Protoss of the Protoss, it would be too embarrassing to unite with the human race to fight against the Zerg. After a long while, Arbitrator Arpnes said, "Don't talk about this anymore. Our purpose here is to stop humans from exterminating all biological species in the M9 star zone." The Templar from the Akira tribe immediately stopped talking. Chapter 475. Talks between the humans and the Protoss. After crossing the vast galaxy, Protoss Arbitrator Arpnes finally entered the M9 sector. As soon as he entered the sector, Protoss Arbitrator Arpnes could not help but frown. The massacre in this sector was more serious than he had imagined. From the display that included the planets in the entire sector, it can be seen that there are many warships in this sector constantly running around in space. As for the purpose of doing so, it is not difficult to guess that those warships running around are all attacking various biological races. Protoss Arbitrator Arpnes said, "It seems that this place is more serious than we imagined. From the current situation, the human race that has just occupied this sector has been completely blinded by hatred, and there is almost no suspense that the non-human races in the entire sector will be slaughtered." The commander of the fleet sent by the M7 sector said, "We must stop the atrocities of the human race and save the racial civilization of this sector. Let's communicate with the human race first." Later, the 3 fleets continued to sail towards the depths of the M9 sector. As time passed, as the 3 fleets of the Protoss and M78 continued to sail into the M9 star zone, the human side successfully discovered this group of uninvited guests who suddenly appeared. What is the origin of the other party? The human side was deeply shocked, but there was nothing to worry about. You know, now, the human side has ruled the M9 star zone for more than 5 years, and during this period, it has suppressed no less than dozens of non-human uprisings. And behind it is the display of strength. Because, in the past 5 years, the strength of the human side has been significantly improved. All the resources in the entire M9 star zone have been taken over by the human race, and both population resources and material resources have been greatly supplemented. Under the circumstances of vigorous development, compared with the more than 7,000 warships when the M9 star zone was first attacked, the number of warships on the human side has now reached nearly 20,000. And this number is still increasing. So now they're still afraid of the three fleets of non-human races. The human side sent a considerable number of warships and immediately flew towards the three southern fleets. Time was running out, and the fleets of both sides immediately confronted each other under the starry sky, with the intention of going to war directly if they disagreed. Now the morale of the human race was high, and they were no longer afraid of any challenge. Protoss Arbitrator Artemis. How could the human race be stronger than the Protoss? Don't they know how terrible the Protoss in the Andromeda Galaxy are? So angry. Protoss Arbitrator Artemis had to bow his head briefly to explain his intentions to the other fleet, claiming that he was the great arbitrator of the Protoss in the M1 star zone, and came here to talk with the leader of the human race. General Bid, the commander of the Jianmeng fleet, sent a signal with confidence. What Protoss? We haven't heard of it. I advise you to leave the M9 star zone as soon as possible, otherwise we will be the first to destroy you Protoss when we have time. However, not long after he sent the signal, there were many commanders of these human fleets whose expressions changed, and it was obvious that they knew the Protoss very well. The information about the Protoss was basically only circulated in the top level of Azure Star, and these commanders did not belong to Azure Star. They were the fleets that had wandered in the starry sky before, and they knew a lot more about the major events in the universe than the people of Azure Star. The Protoss is the top power in the Andromeda Galaxy, an ancient race. But how could they come here? Then they immediately sent the news about the Protoss to the Jianmeng fleet. General Bid's face suddenly changed, and he said in disbelief, although the strength of the human race is now different from the past, if we fight with the Protoss now, if nothing unexpected happens, we will definitely be beaten into a dog by the other side. There was no time to think about it, so he quickly contacted the Empire and explained the situation here. Soon, more warships on the human side gathered here, and the appearance of the Protoss has attracted the attention of humans. And the Protoss Arbitrator Artemis did not share the same views with General Bit. In his eyes, humans are still just like small ants. This is the strong self-confidence of the Protoss. Dozens of hours later, the two sides agreed on a time for the meeting. Lin Chen had been sitting in a remote place in silence, thinking about the information about the Protoss. The Protoss is indeed a very strong race. The strength of the human race now is comparable to that of the Protoss, like the Firefly and the Bright Moon. The Protoss is not only technologically advanced, but they also seem to be able to use magic, or something called psychic power, and their individual combat capabilities are even more powerful, even reaching the point of tearing a landing ship apart with bare hands. Of course, this unrivaled race has always had a flaw in terms of population. Perhaps in the dark, this is the rule of the universe, balancing all things. During the waiting period, compared to Lin Chen's calmness, those bigwigs were a little impatient. Why haven't you come yet? They were very curious about the Protoss. They had actually predicted something about the sudden appearance of this unknown race. The strength of the human race is now far greater than it used to be, and has seriously threatened other biological races in the universe, so they are all here to suppress the development of the human race. Of course, given the strength of the human race, the other party did not dare to be too presumptuous, otherwise the other party would not suppress them, but would directly attack the human race. On one side, there were also many people sitting here. These people were not from the Azure Star, but from the wandering fleets of the human race before. Now they have regained their former homeland and established an offensive and defensive alliance agreement with the Azure Star within the human race. At present, since the allies of the Azure Star do not know much about the Protoss, they will make the information they know public. The Protoss is also called the Gods. The Protoss, with its highly developed technology and powerful psychic power, once believed itself to be the most powerful race in the universe. They are very strong, very strong. Under the condition that it will not affect the order of the universe, the Protoss will not interfere with lower races. He praised the Protoss wildly. Many allies from the Azure Star were stunned and did not seem to react at all. The Protoss is so strong. Really or false? This was going to be difficult. The other party must be interfering with the mass killing of non-human races by humans in the M9 star zone. After all, this had already affected the order of the universe. Time was running out. 3 landing ships flew from the sky and came to the best meeting place according to the coordinates. As the 3 landing ships slowly landed on the ground, everyone present immediately perked up and waited curiously for the Protoss in the landing ships to appear. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.